Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Man, listen, I'll be honest with you. This is like, legit. This is the best looking motherfucking stream I've done in a long damn time. Just being honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of where I am right now. But anyway, right? I think, like, on some real shit, like, yo, fucking these people here to say the current resolution is something, I don't know. It says the current resolution, which is not optimal. I don't care, man. Y'all need to let me know in the chat if this looks all right, if this looks the way it's supposed to look. I'm not absolutely sure at the moment of where we are and how this is operating. Just keeping it all the way funky with y'all, right? Because I'll be honest, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I can't really watch the stream and stand here and do the stream at the same time, right? Legit. Because I get this, crazy ass thing. It says, coding overloaded and all the nonsense and all the bullshit when it comes down to it. Just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, the computer's trying to play back its playback. You know what I mean? It's like you remix the remix, you end up back to the normal again. It is what it is. But anyway, man, look, I wanted to stand here and break this down because I was watching this earlier and I thought it was awesome. You know what I'm saying? Legit. And I'll be real with you. I think, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those like videos that like everybody's going to probably thoroughly enjoy long term. You know the deal, man. I like building blocks on my channel when it comes down to it. So with that being said now, you know what I mean? Let's sit here and, check out and see what's going on, with this whole thing. I'm gonna pop this out. I'm gonna move this over here. I'm gonna move this over here. We're gonna start this video, get this motherfucker on it, popping, on it, rocking, see what's going on. And we'll get to where we need to get to. It is what it is. So let's get into this.
Headlines. Here's irreverent approach transforms topics that are normally dense and heavy into accessible, relevant takeaways for audiences of all types. Peter's third book, Disunited Nations, was published earlier this year. Welcome, Peter. Thank you for being here with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here, although here is in Colorado. I think the best way to start out is to give you a quick 30-second view of why things are the way they are. At the end of World War II, Americans were convinced that they were about to be in a showdown with none other than Joseph Stalin. And we decided that we needed an array of allies, not to stand with us or stand behind us, but to stand in front of us, between us and the Soviets. As a result, we crafted what we now think of as the global order of globalization, where the United States will use its Navy to patrol the global oceans for anyone, so that everyone can ship anything from anywhere to anywhere else without having to worry about piracy or privateering.
Now, this here was known as the Atlantic Charter. It's part of the agreement for... Man, listen, I can't believe it's slipping my mind at the moment, right? But legit, it's part of the agreement that set up the United States, being the world reserve currency back in 1946. But it was actually what was known as the Atlantic Charter, and it was basically everybody had equal access to the Atlantic Ocean, and it turned into the Pacific later on. Once we added Japan and China and all these Japan and Korea and all these other places, Vietnam and Australia and everything that, ended up coming afterwards. But that was the original part of this, right? So let's keep going.
And that ultimately gave us this map. Now, the light blue, those are the countries that we cared about here in the United States before.
Bretton Woods. Bretton Woods was the word I'm looking for. Right, legit. It was the Bretton Woods Agreement, the Bretton Woods meeting, right? This is, the world order that we live under currently. It's not the one that we used to have, but it's the one that we have right now. Keep banging.
World War II. And the green were the new allies in this new global order, the first global order. But everyone else was on the outside. In fact, most of those red countries were on the other side. And so what we did bit by bit from 1946 until the fall of the Berlin Wall is we invited other countries to join. And those are the yellows, and you'll notice that involves the Chinese. Now, the countries that benefited the most from this new structure were those that were either too resource poor to be able to challenge the major naval powers, countries like Germany, or those who had weak geographies that made them prey to those empires, places like China. And so, with the global order, for the first time in their existence, China and countries like them could access resources and markets without needing to secure them militarily. And that changed everything. That gave us the world that we know. But that world is over. Remember, this was a security program. It ended at the end of the Cold War in 1989. And since then, the Americans have been steadily reducing their troops ever since. We had a hiccup when it came to 9/11 and the following wars in the Middle East, but for the most part, the Americans have come home. Our troop deployments globally are now at the lowest level since the 1920s. And everything that's left of the system, everything that's left of the world that we think that we know, is simply running on inertia. And perhaps the worst.
Yo, y'all in the chat, let me know if y'all can see what's going on right now. You know what I mean? Legit. You know what I mean? Somebody in the chat, let me know that you can see the stream and you can hear what's going on and everything of this nature. You know what I mean? Because I'm not real sure what's going on because YouTube's being ridiculous. Why am I alone? Yo, because I am at the second. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sure what the deal is. You know what I mean? Like, why am I alone? Like, explain this. You can see in here? All right, good. As long as y'all can see in here. Why am I alone? Because, man, like, legit, you know, Discord's a pain in the ass. And I'll be honest with you, like, my shit's running more smooth than it usually is. Like, I could probably hop in, you know what I'm saying? Probably hop in my Discord in the general, and you know what I mean, anybody that wants to come in can come in, you know what I mean, like as far as I'm concerned, you know what I mean, but like y'all really can't see the video. Legit. I mean, you can watch it on the stream, you know what I mean, but you ain't gonna be able to see the video as far as things are actually concerned. Well, I'm gonna keep going on this video.
Part for the non-Americans in the world is that the US really doesn't care. And it has to do with who might be able to pick up the mantle. Now, what we have here are two carriers. The one on the left is a super carrier. The one on the right is a traditional jump carrier. On the deep blue sea, without support from land-based aircraft, it takes 7 jump carriers to fight off a single super carrier. Now, there are 11 jump carriers, excuse me, there are 21 jump carriers in the world, 11 of which are American. There are 11 super carriers in the world. Every single one of them is American. Which means that if you sailed the entire navy of the rest of the world against the United States, it would only take 1, maybe 2 aircraft carrier battle groups to carry the day for the Americans. There is no country that this century can hope to displace the Americans on the waves. And the United States is the only country that can make the system work. But it's also the only country that doesn't need it to work. The United States designed.
Jared Roberts, what up, man? Welcome, my brother. Welcome. We over here, bro, reacting and listening to Peter Zeihan's new predictions. This actually just dropped 2 days ago. You know what I mean? So we're just going to sit here and hear what he has to say about what's going on after COVID and, like, you know, during the process of what's going on right now. And it's just like, yo, legit. Like, I'm using 28.5% of my thing. Anybody who wants to join, I'm in general. I'll be honest, you're going to have to watch the stream and listen to the video. That's kind of where we are right now.
The global system to fight a war. It did not do so as an economic investment. And Americans have collectively decided that our security issues are local and regional, not global. So we're out, which means that the global system has lost its designer, its broker, its investor, and its protector. And that, all of that, is just the first factor. Geopolitically speaking, the world that we know is artificial. It's ending, and it's bending back towards something that, historically speaking, is a lot more normal. That means less interaction. That means less trade. That means financial shortages. That means less integration. That means less growth. And remember, that's just the first point. Second, you have to look at demographics. Now, this is the demographic of Mexico. What we've got here are children on the bottom, young adults, mature adults, retirees at the top.
I want everybody to understand this, all right? The rest of the world is going to be screaming for our help, and we're going to be looking at them going, why? Why should we help you? You literally have nothing to do with us. You know what I mean? And I don't know, like, it might end up having somebody come try to reach out and touch us. But honestly, that would probably be the worst thing that they ever do, and they would end up getting bombed to death for doing so. because we're not going to let go of our military. Like, this is, there's some dire days coming for the rest of the planet. You know, I mean, if you live in one of these countries that has like a really shitty demographic, and, you know, I mean, we're not doing trade with you and we have no reason to do trade with you, and you talk tough against our country, you might want to move. I'll be honest with you. It's kind of where it's at right now.
Men on one side, women on the other. Mortality tends to build it into a pyramid. Now, when American business leaders and politicians look at something like the Mexican demography, we kind of like what we see, because all those young people are relatively low down on the value-added scale. They're relatively new to their jobs. They don't add a lot of value to their products. That's not what Americans are good at. We're very highly educated. We're very highly motivated. We're very high value-added workers. And so the propensity to trade between low-end Mexican manufacturing and assembly and high-end American manufacturing and design is huge. It's an excellent relationship. It's the most robust trade relationship in the world. Second, Mexicans are young. And when you're below roughly age 40, it's all about the spending, buying houses, buying cars, raising kids, spend, which means that Mexicans absorb a lot of American imports. This is a beautiful relationship, honestly, from an economic point of view, not that there aren't complications. But again, this is what we look for in a trading partner. And this is not. The Koreans had a baby bust back in the 1980s. They never recovered, which means they've got a lot of people aged 40 to 60, which means these people have already sent their kids on. They're off at college or beyond. They're not buying a lot anymore. And because they've been in their jobs for 20, 30, 40 years, they're very high value added. They're going head to head with the American workforce. So a trade relationship with a country like South Korea is very problematic. Now, for the last 25 years, 40 years, from 1980 to roughly 2015, the world demographically was in a beautiful moment. All of the world's economies were either consumption-led like Mexico's or export-led like South Korea. And so there was a good balance of trade, a lot of economic activity, a lot of things flying back and forth across the oceans. What we have here are the demographic pictures of some of the major economies in the year 2000. It was a perfect balance, excellent for globalization. But 20 years later, we're all 20 years older, and that balance is gone. A lot of those consumption-led economies have aged into being export-led, and a lot of those export-led economies are aging into post-growth. We are no longer in a system where everything's in balance. The global demographic of high consumption was already ending, and courtesy of COVID, it's likely already over. As to the export-led economies, they're aging into mass retirement. They're post-growth. The year 2022 is the year that most of the advanced world shifts from being export-led to post-growth. And COVID has robbed us of the time we had left to prepare for that transition. Now, the United States isn't...
The Americans prepare, like, yo, that's a comical ideology. We don't prepare for nothing. We just deal with it when it comes. Let's be honest here about how our government works.
Cleanly in one of those two categories. Its demographics have slimmed, but it hasn't inverted. Now, our baby boomers are still aging into mass retirement, and just coincidentally, that still happens in the year 2022, along with the rest of the advanced world. But America has something going for it that the rest of the advanced world doesn't. Millennials. We might think of them as annoying, and we might not like their bedazzled flip-flops or all those goddamn scooters, but they exist, and they're having children, and they're buying homes. And from a consumption point of view, that makes them the single largest market on this planet. And it will remain the single largest market.
What up, Floyd?
On this planet for at least another 15 years.
Now, this video is going to get a little choppy for a second. You know what I mean? It's just his internet connection. You know what I'm saying? It has absolutely nothing to actually do with me.
I hate to say it, but millennials may just save us all. Because I need to give you an idea of just how sharp this is going to be. Let me give you an idea of scale. Now, in 2020, the United States is the only large consumption-led economy that's going to remain a large consumption-led economy in 2030. What I've done here is I've stacked up all of the world's 100 largest economies, which make up 95% of global economic activity. And in the first column, you can see where everybody is now. And in the second column, you can see where everybody will be in 10 years. Now, there's 1,000 ways that we could do this and quibble with some of the specifics. So this is just using the data we have available today. But if you look at where the export-led economies are, they age into obsolescence. That entire category goes away. Now, right now, Japan, the world's largest and fastest aging demography, the world's largest collection of old folks and the fastest aging demography, it's really the only post-growth economy we have. But by the time we get to 2030, not only will the Chinese and the Europeans have joined them, but we will, as a planet, have aged past the point where the economic structure of today is even.
Well, man, you know what I'm saying? You can hop in my general in my Discord if you want to. You know what I mean? Like, legit, I'm kind of hanging out in there. There's always a link in the bottom of my description of my videos for the Discord. You know, at the moment, I'm kind of going over this video, and this is kind of like an important part of my channel. So if you're willing to sit here and watch it on the stream, you know what I mean, like watch it on YouTube, you know what I mean, and like react to it with me if you want to, and have, you know, bring up some questions, because you know the deal. I love the fact that you're a normal American, and you actually being able to grasp this stuff and, you know, have it being explained to you is really important to me. You know what I mean? And it's really important to, you know what I mean, our society as a whole. You know, hop in my general, you know what I mean? And we can bullshit about this.
Been theoretically possible. And this was all before COVID. Before COVID took away a year or two of consumption and a year or two of production and more than a year or two of financial capacity. We will never return to where we were in 2019. That model's gone. Betting on globalization now is like betting on buggy whips when the Model T started rolling off the line. That era is over. Going to something different, or perhaps something a lot older. You remove the Americans from the equation. You let the chips fall where they may. You'll get serious conflicts in places that the Americans.
Yo, it's on the channel, man. You know what I'm saying? Legit. That's why I'm doing this. Because, you know, I like to have like bricks, you know what I mean, as the foundation of my channel. You know what I mean? Those like videos that are really good that, you know, everybody can, you know what I mean, stand here and watch for years to come, or whatever the case might be. Just good content that's solid. This is one of those videos, you know what I'm saying? So it'll be there. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Thank you for coming out, my brother.
Americans used to hold together. These are the places where I expect them to be most explosive. Now, for those of you who know your world history, you'll recognize that these are the places that have seen the greatest wars in the history of our species. And for those of you who know economic history, you'll recognize these zones as the areas that have seen the greatest economic growth since 1945. There's no coincidence. That's because of the order. The Americans forced everyone to be on the same side and outlawed war among the various order members so that we were all on the same side against the Soviets. But with the Americans gone, history reasserts. And these zones are responsible for 3/4 of global energy shipments, agricultural shipments, and manufacturing supply chain steps. This is the end of the world that we know. Now, the gentleman who's kind of midwifing this process is this guy. This is Robert Lighthizer. He's the U.S. Trade Representative. He's responsible for enforcing and negotiating every trade deal we have. Now, this is not his first stint in government. He also worked for Team Reagan back during the 1980s. Now, if you dial back to the 1980s, the Cold War was running hot and heavy. We actually had
Floyd, what up, man? Yo, can you hear me? Yo, holla if you hear me.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, man?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
All right, cool. All right. So are you watching the video on the stream? Yo, are you watching the video on the stream? Yo, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are? All right, cool. All right, so, you know what I mean, like, yo, you just asked me to pause this when you have questions. You understand?
Absolutely.
I got you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it is what it is. This is one of those, like, really good videos we're going to have on the channel. You know what I mean? You're going to be a part of it. All right? All right, my brother.
The nuclear scare over Berlin in 1983. And a lot of the Allies were doing things that the Reagan administration was not overly fond of. Specifically, the Germans, the French, the Japanese, they were all intervening egregiously in currency markets to push down the value of their currencies versus the US dollar so they could export more to the American market. Kind of violated the spirit of the order, but Reagan really needed everyone lined up shoulder to shoulder with us against the Soviets, so he was willing to look the other way. But fast forward to 1985. Gorbachev had risen to power. The Cold War was winding down. The Reykjavik summit was a wild success. So Team Reagan pulled the Allies.
I'm not kicking Floyd, you know what I'm saying? You can come in and, like, you know, abuse him a little bit if that's what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in my general fucking voice in the Discord, all right? And anybody that's watching this, you know what I mean, later on, the Discord link is in the description. Most definitely, you know, pop in because I have no problem. This is a free speech channel, and anybody can have their voice heard at any point. You can ask any questions or put anything in you want to have a conversation about. And I'm more than willing to talk about it because I love learning about things, and I'm always open to new ideas and new ideologies. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is.
Together at the Plaza Hotel.
Hey, man, I'm gonna behave myself tonight.
Hey, that's cool. And
I promise.
Hey, I'm with it, man. I'm with it. You know, I'm just kind of sitting here, you know, going over this video because it just got dropped 2 days ago. It's from one of my favorite authors, and I wanted to stand here and put this out. It's some nerd stuff, you know what I mean? It's some higher end, higher educated type of things, but it's something that American voters should be understanding completely about what's going on.
Right. The only issue I'm having is the lag between Discord and the stream itself. There's a good 20 seconds of lag between what we're saying and what's happening. So.
Got you. You know what I mean? Like, as I said, you know what I mean? Just pause it if you have a question. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can go, oh man, he said this, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll break that down to you, whatever the case might be. All right,
man. Fair enough.
Cool.
See what you've been doing. You're going to stop. You're going to stop today. Because if you do not, the United States will remove itself from the global order and you can deal with the Soviets yourself. The intimidation worked. Within 6 months, the Allies not only stopped the intervention, they reversed it. And within 6 months, the US dollar had dropped by half. Now, Robert Lighthizer here, he was the Reagan administration's hatchet man assigned to Tokyo to make sure that he did not renege on the deal. And whenever he got his marching orders, he'd walk into the Ministry of Finance, lay out the American position, and then when it was time for the Japanese to issue the rebuttal, he'd take off his translator microphone and disassemble it on the desk and have little G.I. Joe war pieces. When the Japanese were finished, he'd scoop it back together, put it up, put it back on, and say, well, that was riveting. But we're going to do it my way, right? When he accepts a job, he makes sure he has all of the cards. He makes sure he has political cover, and then he doesn't negotiate.
Well, Lavish Patch Kid, you know what I'm saying? I completely agree with you. You know what I'm saying? What the deal is that it was never supposed to be like good for us. Like, economists tried to sell it. All right. This is why, like, you have to study everything that I give to y'all. Like, I have a video on Edward Bernays propaganda. And like what it is the government will hire PR firms. I was talking about this earlier on Goes to Rome's MGTOW Sunday chat. And basically what it is that, you know, like they'll stand here and they'll hire PR firms to like push stuff to the Americans that probably isn't really good for them, but it's good for them in a different way, right? Like, for instance, all this free trade was about defeating the USSR, but the USSR hasn't existed since 1989. Right? So, like, you know, we're kind of moving on inertia at this point. And honestly, only at this point in 2020, it's like 7% of our GDP is relying upon international trade. And half of that is Canada and Mexico. So, well, actually, it's probably more than half of that this year, you know what I mean? Because, like, there's not a lot of trade going on around the world with, you know, COVID going on and things of this nature. So, us patrolling the world's oceans legitimately was a bribe for the rest of the world to help us fight the Soviets. It was never supposed to be about us having access to the rest of the world. It was the rest of the world having access to us so that we could defeat the Soviets instead of fighting them in an actual war. That's what this is really about. You know what I mean? And like, that's what a lot of people really have no idea about. You know what I'm saying? Well, the Berlin Wall came down in 89, right? But like Gorbachev said no mas in 1991. Right. But it was already like, I believe it or not, the actual reforms were like the open market reforms were going on in 85, 86. And by 89, a lot of the republics had already revolted and were moving apart. Like it was already falling to pieces at that point. You know what I mean? So 91 was just, you know what I mean, them actually acknowledging that it was no longer a thing. You know what I mean? That's kind of where it is. So what up, Floyd?
What I remember about 91 was the Gulf War. I was like 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
I was like 7 years old.
I was 8. Right? Like, yeah. Like I remember I had the posters.
Old parts, man.
Right? Like I remember I had the posters of like the jets and the tanks on my wall from the, you know what I mean? Like, because my uncle was actually in the military serving in the Gulf War at that point. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, mad respect to your uncle, dude. Mad respect.
Yeah, I feel you. You know what I mean? Good dude, legit, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, he used to take me to the monster truck shows and like the soccer games around here and like the hockey matches and shit, you know, because he, you know, worked concessions because he came back from the war all fucked up. You know, that was a weird war. Like, there was a lot of casualties, like, on our side, but, like, they were, like, weird, like, you depleted uranium and, like, you know, just weird mental injuries coming back. It was a very strange fucking war as far as that shit was concerned. But anyway, yeah.
Dude, it was, I don't know, man. It might have been as fucked up as Vietnam.
No. Vietnam was really, really bad. Like Vietnam changed our country in a way it had never been changed before. Like, well, since it hadn't, in a way it hadn't been changed since World War II, really. You know what I mean? When it came down to it, like the Vietnam War really changed this country because it legit, the people, like the way they were dragging individuals and politicizing things, because World War II, like people killed themselves because they didn't go to war. In Vietnam, they would send like people who were like anti-government or like, you know, anti-Republican or anti-Democrat. Like, yeah, it was anti-Democrat because it was Lyndon Johnson that started that war. People who were anti-Democrat or anti, you know what I mean, like the status quo to war on purpose. Like they would upgrade their shit, you know what I mean, and make them go to Vietnam as a punishment.
Damn.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that war was a whole different animal. Like it was just like, yeah, it was a whole different thing completely. Like I think that was Kennedy got shot in what 68, 63, and then
I was gonna say like 64 or something.
63. He got shot in 63, I think, and then Johnson took over, and he ended up starting that war in 68, and then it was full-fledged rocking and rolling into the 70s, and then Nixon ended it in 75.
My dad enlisted and was shipped to Vietnam in 68. By 69, he was in Germany and he was fucked up.
Yeah, like so many people came back hooked on dope and hooked on, you know what I mean, cocaine and heroin and acid. It was just, that whole thing was just fucking ridiculous. Like, again, like that war was unlike any war we had ever fought before. You know, like we didn't lose. It's just the American people didn't have the will to win that war because we had no reason to be there. You know, you got to remember America, like this is what this is really about. America is pretty much isolated from the rest of the world because, you know, we have soft neighbors to the north, a weak neighbor to the south, and on the east and west, we're surrounded by fish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like anybody, well, you can't invade us. You know what I mean? Thanks for bringing up the bad dreams, Night All. No problem, man. You're good. Sorry, Peter. I apologize, my brother.
Sorry, man.
But yeah, like, this is what all these policies are about. This is really what this whole thing's about, is understanding the history behind where we are and how we got here. And that's a really important thing to actually have a conversation about. You know what I mean?
I'm still trying to noodle through how we've gotten to where we are today. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me.
What do you mean?
Well, the whole damn thing. I mean, look around.
Well,
The world is. It seems like the whole damn world's off its fucking rocker, man.
again, you have to be more specific. You know what I mean? Because the world's always off its rocker.
We've got Americans, okay, and this dude was talking about like millennials and how they're having kids now, right?
Yeah.
We have Americans that are openly against America. I don't understand this.
Well, okay. So Americans are not openly against America, right? What Americans are is they are openly against America acting in a manner in which it doesn't need to. Like, all right, so whenever America does something, like they're literally doing it in your name, right? And that's the problem. Like, when we go to war, and like, for instance, of Margaret Thatcher, and they were interviewing her, and, they asked her, they said, that war killed nearly, 800,000 children. Like, are you okay with that? Right? You ever watch that shit? You ever see that?
Okay.
Like, have you ever seen that?
I probably have, but if I have, I've forgotten. Which is a most grievous sin on my part.
All right. So there was an interview with Margaret Thatcher, and she said, that war killed, 500,000 or 1 million, whatever, children, women and children, when we took away the water supplies in Baghdad, right? We bombed out, we literally bombed them back to the Stone Ages, right?
Right.
Well, this ideology that we have about that is that, should we be doing that in the name of, having, how do I put this? Iraqi oil being pumped into Europe.
Well, I don't know much about Europe's oil production.
It doesn't have any.
I don't even know if they have any.
They don't really have any. Like, the vast majority of their energy,
they're going to be codependent.
Yeah. So why are we paying for it? Why are we the ones paying for their security?
We shouldn't be.
That's why the fuck it is that people have this problem. This is why you're saying, they're openly anti-America, right? You know what I mean? Right? Yo, Lavish Patch Kids. No, it's not that they will oust the bankers. It's, okay, so it's, okay, hang on a minute. Let me bring this back to Floyd, and then I'll bring it back to you. Okay, so that's the problem, is that legitimately we're providing security for individuals who shit on us on a regular basis, right?
Okay.
And that's really where we are. Okay, so Lavish Patch Kids. Let's put this way. Okay, so okay. When the cost of automating a factory, right, say that makes silicon chips or that does textile work, right, is cheaper than paying for child labor in a place like Malaysia. And you could literally cut out the shipping cost on top of that by building the factory in America and putting it directly into the end consumer market where it's going anyway, why would you continue to use that? You know what I'm saying? Like, legit. Like, that's kind of really where things are, right? It's not so much, it's all right. So it doesn't matter what the bankers are doing. Legit. The bankers are going to go do what the bankers do. They're international, you know what I mean? Like, they're international moguls. They can do whatever they want to do anywhere. The problem is not the fact that the bankers are standing here doing this, you know what I mean? And they have the protection of America. Right, if the bankers want to stand here and continue to run the IMF and, do the shit that they're doing, that's fine. Nobody cares, right? But if the bankers are standing here doing this, and how do I put this? If the bankers are standing here doing this and like it, like they no longer have a reason to, because these individuals are becoming poor because you're moving manufacturing back to this country, right? Why would you not prepare for that event? Like, if the bankers are going to be dumb and stay there, that's their fault. Like, it has absolutely nothing to do whether or not those 195 nations are ran by the same high finance. They're going to lose their fucking asses when America moves all the fucking goods back here, because there's no reason to pay for it with automation just to begin with. Right? Like, that's, they're going to have to do it. It has nothing to do with us. All right? The U.S. is no longer going to back any of their shit, is the thing. Like, the United States is not going to continue to back their garbage. Right? And like, I don't know. It's up to them. This is the thing. It's like, we are stepping back because we're not going to allow us politically to allow ourselves to use our government to fucking continue to help other countries that we have no fucking, stake in. We're a net energy exporter at this point. We have so much natural gas coming up out of the fucking ground that literally they're having to fucking set it on fire because they cannot capture it.
Yes. We are energy independent at this point.
So why will we continue to deal with the Middle East?
There's no reason to. There's no reason for us to even mess with those people anymore.
Yeah, it's literally inertia that's fucking stopping us. It's the military industrial complex. And it doesn't matter who gets the fucking office. Everybody's talking tough against fucking China. Like, all these factories are moving shit back. Legit, I was just talking about it yesterday on a video I did. But I'll talk about it here. The Zinger. The Zinger, it's spelled Czinger, right? It's a new hypercar that they built, right? And basically it's a pilot.
The one built by AI.
Yeah. You saw this too? Yo, legit.
Yeah, I did. I watched Donut's video on it, and I was just like dumbfounded. I was like, oh my God, imagine this technology pushing out affordable econo boxes.
Yep. And here's the thing, they're all 3D printed too.
Yo, I said it. I said it in my server. I said, dude, this is going to turn auto manufacturing on its head.
Yeah.
This is a game changer.
Legit, it's not about the car itself. It's about the technology they're using to build it. It's basically undoing Henry Ford's fucking, assembly line, right? Basically what they're doing is they have these like 15 by 15 foot long, fucking squares with robots inside of it that can put out 10,000 cars a year. Right. And
assembly bays with robots moving at 5 miles an hour, manipulating a automobile into existence.
Yep. Putting it all together piece by piece.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's kind of the deal. Like, legit. You know what I mean? Like, yo, all these countries, you know what I mean? Like, whether or not they're run by bankers, like, yo, we need to let go of these conspiracy theories be holding their head. Do you think the bankers are actually running these fucking governments? They're not. All right? Only in Europe or something like that actually happened. And the rest of the places, legit, are ran by the fucking governments of those countries. right? You really think Turkey's bank is running Turkey? No, Turkey is.
No.
Turkey is literally acting the exact way he predicted it would 5 fucking years ago, right? He said 5 years ago, Turkey's going to turn back into the fucking Turkish Empire, what it used to be, because it's the only player in town who can stand here and fucking hold down the role it needs to hold down. It's fucking bordered by fucking Syria, Iran, and motherfucking, fucking the Caucasus is on the top, right? It literally leads into Europe. So Turkey has now become, basically holding the motherfucking the Europeans hostage by keeping fucking migrants back, right? And on top of that, by doing so, it's standing here going, you know what? We're going to take over these fucking little smaller piece of these countries, and we're going to fucking break us off a chunk of Syria. And the United States said, okay, we don't care. So like, your shit, like that whole banker thing doesn't mean a fucking thing. It does not. And that's where we are. So let's keep going. We're only at 14 minutes out of this fucking video, and it's an hour and too long. Let's keep banging.
Forces his solution.
All right, let's keep going.
The other side of the table. This is the guy who's been in charge of every trade talk the United States has engaged in for the last 3.5 years. And he's generated results. These are the 5 deals that matter to the United States: Korea, Japan, Canada, Mexico, and the United Kingdom. And these are countries that honestly don't have a lot of choice. South Korea doesn't exist without American security overwatch. They had to capitulate on every point of the program. Canada has no other options, and it can't pivot to another trading partner. The United Kingdom destroyed its links to the European Union, so it's a deal on Washington's terms or an economic depression. We'll see that deal happen later this year. And it has been seared into the collective memory of Japan just what happens when the United States turns hostile. Of these 5, only Mexico has any wiggle room, because Mexico has things that the United States wants: a young demographic, a growing market, and a complementary economic system. So with the exception of the deal with the United Kingdom, which will happen later this year, deals with these countries aren't simply sewn up. They've already been implemented. It's done. And that just leaves China. Now, I could give you 30, 40 reasons why China will not be in existence as a unified nation state a decade from now. But really, this is the single most important. It's the islands that roughly parallel the Chinese coast: Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, Indonesia, Singapore. It's not just that they're all allies, although they are. It's that they form something that the Chinese call the first island chain. And the Chinese have never, in any period of their 3,500-year-long history, ever been able to penetrate that chain in a commercial manner and integrate economically with the world beyond. There is one exception today under the order, because the Americans have forced everyone to be on the same side. But if you remove the Americans from the equation, this region goes back being more antagonistic, and China simply lacks. China has lacked its entire history the military capacity to enforce any sort of globe-spanning trade system. In fact, any sort of East Asian-centric trade system. All the Americans have to do, if the goal really is to destroy China, is go home. Now, I said there are 30 to 40 reasons. I'm going to give you a couple more. Let's look at demographics. Now, this is the Chinese demographic in 1980. You'll notice it's very young. And when China joined the order after Nixon went to China, they were able to produce goods at a price that no one could compete with because they had so many young people, supply and demand. But if you fast forward 20 years, it looks a little bit different. Between 1980 and 2015, China experienced the perfect demographic moment. And there were 3 pieces to it. First, they had lots of young people, so low production costs. Well, that was over 20 years ago. And Chinese labor costs since 2000 have increased by more than a factor of 10. Second, Chinese young adults had few kids, with higher spending in the short run. That's the Chinese boom that we've seen these last 10 years, but that's nearly over. There's a consumption trough coming. And third, China cannibalized the countryside to fuel urban activity, and that's over. The countryside is now nearly empty of people of reproductive age. In many ways, the Chinese development story is a bit like what happened here in the United States with the move from the farm to the city. But whereas in the United States it happened over 2 centuries, in China it happened in just one generation. So here's the Chinese demography today. They are enjoying one last burst of consumption before that one block of population ages into not being significant consumers in the future. They've not only aged out of their beautiful demographic moment, the Chinese have aged past the point of demographic recovery. And it shows up in their labor data. These are several Southeast Asian countries that I think will actually do pretty well in the world we're moving into. This is Mexico, a country with very competitive. And here's the labor cost in the People's Republic of China. They have simply moved past the point where they can participate in a meaningful trade system. In fact, if you look at the consumption numbers, it's really bad. Here is domestic car sales month by month from a year earlier. Now, that big drop off in January of 2000, that's from the coronavirus pandemic. That is what you would expect when people don't go outside, they don't buy cars. That's not what I talk about, what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the trouble that China is in. I'm looking at the 2 years previous. Look at how negative that is. Now, this is pre-COVID. This is in 2019. This is in 2018. This is when the big story was how China was going to take over everyone and rule the world and be a big consumption-led economy. It's just that it's not true. Even within their own system, even with their own data, China has already gone terminal. They also have a shorter-term problem. Trade talks. Look who's there. Lighthizer has been in charge of all the trade talks everywhere in the world, wherever they happen to be.
All right. So now, okay. Right. Wait, hang on a minute. Lavish Patch Kids, I'm not sure who you're talking about. I'm sure they have poorer neighbors to import to. He must be counting that for us in Europe, so surely charts would say the same thing. Okay, well, here's the problem with China. China has 1.4 billion people, right? So in order to have somebody to export goods to with 1.4 billion people in the workforce, or even call it, 800 million people in the workforce, you have to have a lot of goods to export. Legit. A lot of goods, you know what I'm saying, in export, as far as things is really concerned. You know what I mean? So therefore you have to have big consumption-led economies to export to. And if you're not going to be exporting to America, right? And if America's not going to have their plants over there anymore, what are you going to do with those 1.4 billion people? How are you going to support yourself if you're not the world's manufacturing floor anymore, when China has lower wages than you do, and they're right next door to us, and we're starting to automate every system that we have? What do you do? No, I mean, this is what I'm saying. There's a lot of things that legit we're just not being told and we're not thinking about properly. That's kind of where the mentality is. Like all those individuals who live in those countries around China, legit, there's not that many people, and they're not rich enough to buy the goods that China's making. It's kind of the deal. They can't buy Chinese cars because they don't have Chinese money. They don't have American money. They don't have European money. They don't, let's be honest here, they don't have Latin American money. And that's saying something. Floyd, you getting where I'm at right now, man?
What's up?
Huh?
What?
You getting what I'm saying right now?
I kind of get it.
Well, what are you missing? What are you not understanding?
Okay, I don't get it at all.
Okay, so if China has 800 billion people in the workforce, right?
Okay.
And, they have that of mass consumption could be introduced to their own. Lavish Patch Kid, no, that's the problem, right? Because of the fact that the United States has the ability to feed itself, right? and we have the largest water network to be able to move food around and move goods around, and we have all this infrastructure to do all these things with, right? We're able to produce our own money.
Yeah,
right? Go ahead.
We have massive amounts of rail infrastructure, interstate infrastructure, goods moved by rail and by road
and by water.
We have a huge amount of fertile land that is good for producing food. Yeah, I think we're pretty self-sufficient at this point.
Right. The thing is, China's not. Right. You can build whatever you want. All right. It costs a 1/12 of what it does to float something down, like floating something down the river or down a fucking, around the coast costs a 1/12 of what it does to move it across the road or move it across or across the rail. Right. And legit, it costs something like 35 times the price to, move it across the country. So thinking about that, when it comes down to it, with China, they don't have any rivers. They don't have, like the ocean ports to be able to do what they need to do, right? To move things around, right?
They have what? A handful of ports and
they're all
the facilities that we have.
Yeah, and they're all in the southeast of the country, right? And all of their fertile land is in the northwest.
And China is big.
Yeah. It's the size of the United States.
That's a big chunk of land.
Like, imagine if all your food came from Oregon. Right?
Holy shit, dude. That shit would rot on the trucks on its way here.
Right? And imagine
just to Indiana.
Yeah, imagine if all your food was grown in Oregon. And now imagine this. Imagine if you didn't have any oil or natural gas.
Yeah, that sounds like dire straits to me, man.
That's China. Legit. That's the thing. They have to import all of their energy and a bunch of their food, right? They don't have the ability to continue to be a country. You know what I'm saying? They can't. And here's the real problem, right? Legit. They didn't have any kids for 30 years. 35 years after a one-child policy, you're running out of 35-year-olds. That's an issue. If the vast majority of your consumers are in any society are between the ages of 20 and 40, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, if your largest portion of your population is over the age of 40, you know what I mean? And then you got to pay for mass retirement with people who, legitimately are shrinking in numbers. What do you do?
I don't know what you do in that. I guess you'd start importing people at that point.
They're not going to import people because it's China.
Well, China's not smart.
Yeah, again.
And they never have been. But if they were smart, they would recognize that this is a problem and they would start importing people.
So that guarantees they have to expand, right? Well, here's the other problem. They don't have a military or a navy that can float more than 1,000 miles from any port that they have. What do you do then?
Sucks for them.
Yeah, they're ass out. Here's the thing. The second largest navy in the world, the second best navy in the world is Japan. And Japan hates China. And here's the other part. They're having border skirmishes, right, with India, who legitimately controls all of the fucking energy that you need that has to come to you to be able to fucking fuel your economy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? What happens when India, who controls like when you come out of the ports of the port of Iran, the Suez Canal and all that shit over there, right? When you come out of I forget the name of the sea, but whatever the hell it is, I think it's the Sea of Iran or whatever that sea is there. When you come out of there, right? Like you go right basically in the Indian waters, right?
Okay.
So what happens when you're having border skirmishes with India and the United States isn't there to stop India from, sinking the tankers or just, in general, stopping them from going through? And you can't bring your ships there.
Okay.
What happens?
Well, I would imagine your country slowly
It's not the Red
withers
Sea.
and dies.
It's not the Red Sea. We're
No,
not splitting that.
not the Red Sea.
But yeah, why do I have a wrench? Because everybody gets a wrench, man. Legit. You know what I'm saying? This is a free speech channel, and I want no one silenced on here.
This is the wrench no state.
Yo, China was already paying a fucking they were already paying a surcharge for oil, right? And they still do right now. They're paying a premium for it at the moment, right? But they're paying a much smaller one because the United States isn't taking any oil out of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, because we're making our own shit.
We make better oil for cheaper here in America. This is the wrench no state, my friends. Yeah, and by the way, Sithnet, Captain Falcon, Valerie Parker. What up? You know what I'm saying? You know the deal. But yeah, man, this is where we are with this. This is why, I'm playing these videos for you, so we can all have a very good and better understanding of the situation of where we are. You know what I mean? With the whole world. So we're better informed, because I think it's important to everybody, you know what I'm saying, that we all become more intelligent. You know what I'm saying?
Being informed is extremely important, Tom. I absolutely agree. It's these. I don't even know what to call them. I mean, they're like troglodytes at this point. They just want to read, and I'm right because I'm right. And if you're right, well, you're wrong because I said I'm right.
Hey, man, I always keep my mind open to new ideas. I found out today that the Czech Republic is not the same as Chechnya.
Really?
Yeah, I had no idea.
Okay.
Red Raptor, what up, by the way?
What up, Red Raptor?
Yeah, I had no idea. They were talking about Czechs in France or whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? I had no clue that, it didn't mean Czechs from the Czech Republic. It meant Chets from Chechnya. Which is two different countries, apparently.
Sith says, if the Chinese Communist Party collapses, it will be good. Yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah, but legit, anybody who has questions, legit, please put it in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Because this is all about, if you bring up something that I was missing, that I can't explain away. Yo, we're gonna have to do some research, and I'm check and see what's going on. Maybe he's wrong, maybe you're right. And it's important that we have these conversations. So that we stand here and we're able to pick things apart that's wrong. And so far, we have not been able to stand here and pick apart stuff that's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Legit. So that's kind of why, I like this dude, and I bought all 3 of his books. I've actually given away his books, and I'm probably going to do that again here soon. I'm going to start giving away books on this channel, for individuals to read. That's kind of the deal. Why is the sky blue? Because, I thought it mirrored the ocean or some shit like that. Do you think are going to collapse? What countries besides China? Germany. Germany's going to collapse. Russia's going to collapse in the state that it is today.
Any country that is openly accepting, oh God, I'm probably going to get banned. I'm probably going to get kicked off the fucking internet
Captain
for this one.
Falcon, because our birth rate is not as shit as theirs. Right? Right? So, our birth rate is nowhere near as shit as what you think it is. Right? We're still, with the migration of Mexicans, right? Which is, kind of where that's at. And on top of that, with American poor whites having a lot of kids and teenage birth rates, it's keeping our heads above the water. We're still not in great condition, but we're much better than everybody else in the world. And not only that,
we're not. Yeah, we're not exactly fucking like rabbits, but we're close.
Yeah, legit. You know what I'm saying? We're not in terrible shape. You know what I mean? South Africa going to collapse? No. South Africa is going to do well. I'm trying to think. Oh, Brazil's going to collapse. That's another big one. You know what I mean? That has been predicted. So let's keep going through here. There's a bunch of again, I have some books I'm going to give away. Anybody that's really interested in this stuff, legit, I'm probably going to do some streams where I'm going to give away his books, you know what I mean? In particular, Disunited Nations, because he actually breaks down each country and gives them a report card and tells what's going to happen with them. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? It's something that, legit. France. No, France is actually going to do really well. Legit, believe it or not, because France has been eating shit for the past 40 years. And believe it or not, France is a military power. So we're going to keep going. Before World War II, they did not get their asses handed to them the way they did in World War II. Legit. I know we all call them cheese-eating surrender monkeys, but that's a new thing. You know what I mean? Legit. So let's keep going.
Now, this is the guy who wrote the World Trade Organization Charter. This is arguably the most free trade person in the American political establishment today. And if you look at what might happen after November, whether it's Trump or Biden, the Chinese cannot count on anything getting easier, because either Trump will win, in which case Lighthizer only has one country to focus on, or Biden will win. And Biden has personally called President Xi Jinping a thug and has advocated a series of anti-Chinese trade policies that are far more strict than what we're facing today. 2019 was as good as it was going to get. To put this more short term, this gentleman, Ambassador Branstad from Iowa, used to be the governor. He is arguably the person in the United States most capable of generating a positive working relationship with the Chinese, because he's on a first name basis with President Xi Jinping of China. Branstad and Xi have been friends since they first met in 1985. And so when Trump appointed Branstad to be ambassador, everybody assumed that things were going to go swimmingly. Well, after months of relations deteriorating, Branstad last week wrote an op-ed about how the relationship was falling apart and what the Chinese had done to push it in that direction. The Chinese, of course, immediately censored the document, and Branstad resigned this Monday morning. Whoever replaces him is going to be a China hawk, not a China dove. Okay, let's talk about some of the economic sectors so you have an idea of what's coming down the pipe in that front. Now, this is what we call the total private credit curve. This is all private credit from all sources to all sources. Mortgages, credit cards, stocks, everything. The only thing that is not included is interbank lending. So if one bank is lending overnight window monies to another bank, that's not there, but everything else.
All right, let's finish up China. Okay, so do you think without the CCP, Chinese civil war is more probable than anything? I know their inland is far more communist and their coast is far more capitalistic, opposite of us, but split the same. Okay, so no. That's actually not how it works. The far more communist part of their far more communist part of their country is actually the North, right? And the South is the ones who are more capitalistic, because those individuals are the ones who always have had the ports and the outside interaction with other individuals. They've always been the richest part of the country. So, but at the moment, the individuals who are actually running the country, the Han Chinese, are the northern part of the country. The inland people are just poor farmers, like in general. So a Chinese civil war is more probable than anything? Yes. More like Chinese revolution would kind of be more where it is. And is that gaming I heard?
Uh-huh.
What up, my brother?
Not much.
How you doing, man?
The show. Nothing. I'm enjoying the show.
Oh, cool. Good. You know what I mean? But I think that's kind of how it's going to end up going, right? I think that's kind of where it's going to be at Lavish Patch Kids. You know what I mean? Keeping my Inner Mongolia, Tibet, Xinjiang, Xinjiang. Well, Inner Mongolia, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of a little different of a situation. Mongolia is not part of China. Mongolia is its own country, and yes, it is a social democracy, but it is still capitalistic. Tibet is not really actually part of China, but it is, right? Tibet's its own thing, and really, honestly, to like do a war in Tibet's just kind of not worth it because it's up on top of a mountain. You know what I mean? So, Sith, I don't know. Anyway, so what's going on, gaming? What do you think about what I've been putting out here so far?
Well, I mean, that one guy, I don't know who he is, but one, he's cute, and two, he seems very, very intelligent in what he's saying. And I can agree with pretty much most everything that it's been said here. Except when Floyd opens his mouth. I mean, it's just like...
You have just been openly hostile to me tonight, gaming. What the hell, man?
Well, when Pino is put in a video or a show, and you're trying to listen to the video, and then in the background you hear fucking Cabot typing and doing fucking keyboard noises while we're trying to watch the fucking video. It's a little annoying, fucking Cabot.
Fucking Cabot.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We hear you.
Great.
Who that be?
Shit works. Florida man, baby.
Oh, what up, Florida man? How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
We're
I'm doing
neighbors.
just fine.
It's nice to see you, man. Nice to hear from you. Anyway, yeah, so like we're kind of going over this video. I apologize. I should have
I've been watching the last like hour. I've been listening to y'all.
You enjoying it?
Oh yeah. I was gonna say China's made enemies of so many fucking people too, by the way.
Every
the whole
country.
world fucking hates China right now.
Yeah.
China kind of fucked us all.
They really did.
And we didn't want it.
Yeah, no shit.
Dude, China dragged us into the free candy van.
China, this was going to happen. This has happened, I mean, like many a times throughout history. It's not always, it's whoever's fault. It's happened between, like Rome did it, London did it, diseases happen, dude. Legit, the first Spanish flu was our fault. So like, it kind of is what it is. You know what I mean? When it really comes down to it. So, with that being said, like, I'm not going to stand here and blame China for, the Wuhan virus or whatever. It just is kind of where we're at. But we're about to get into the economics part of this video. I should have set up, whatchamacallit, one of them things called, the thing where you watch it all together or whatever. But man, listen,
you could be smart and just open up your own screen share and we can see it from there.
I can see it from YouTube. It's fine. It's already open. For me.
God forbid you would do it easy, like I just told you.
I legit. Hang on, wait, looking.
I know. That's what you have me here for. Just on your Discord at the bottom says screen. Click on that, share it, and click the video that you want us to continue watching. And then we can hear
Valerie, yeah. Taiwan is kind of doing its own on them, and that's kind of uncool.
It's gonna become Chinese territory soon.
I certainly hope not.
Well, no one has a way to defend that.
All right, so can y'all see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a second, your stream was. Your stream is yeah.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like legit, I don't really have the ability to do this. Like I don't really have the ability. You're gonna have to watch it on the YouTubes. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, that's cool. All right, so we're gonna keep banging. We're gonna get in some economic stuff at the moment. You know what I mean? So what's
the stream thing that you do?
I know what you're talking about. I should have set one up, but I completely forgot to. I apologize. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say I know I've been on that before.
Yeah, I know, but like I wasn't planning on having a whole bunch of people in this bitch. So like, I didn't know how this was going to operate. I know how long this was going to take me. I don't know what the deal is. We're only 22 minutes in. It's an hour long. So we got a little bit more to go. We're going to keep.
Before you continue, first of all, how dare you say people when you're talking to Floyd? And two, how do you say people in front of me when I'm not people either?
You are two people. You're some of the best people.
Have better respect. I am not people.
You're some of the best.
What the hell are you then?
I'm the god queen of all freaks, motherfuckers.
All right.
I'm not people.
All right. All
Moving
right.
on.
We're gonna keep rocking. We're gonna keep rocking.
Okay.
All right. Let's keep going.
Now,
Aye.
from the start of this chart in 2000 to the middle in 2008, that line going up, that is the subprime crisis in a single graphic. We doubled total private credit in the United States in 2 years. Excuse me, in 7 years. It was too much. It was too fast. As a result, we had a bubble. It burst. We had a recession. In the ensuing year and a half, 5% came off of headline GDP. Since then, private credit growth has rebounded, and we're back to something much more similar to the century average. This is our baseline. Now, the same data, but this time in relative terms instead of absolute. So a little bump in the middle, again, that's a doubling. Here's the Eurozone. In the time the United States doubled total credit, the Europeans tripled it. As a result, the European financial crisis hit harder, lasted longer. Several countries, such as Italy, still haven't recovered to where they were in 2007. And because of COVID and demographics, they probably never will. Here's Greece. 7-fold increase of credit in 7 years. And they're not done. Before COVID came, they were looking at least another 20% contraction on top of the 40% they had already suffered. Because of COVID, they will never recover. Here's Brazil. This is what a lost decade looks like, assuming you get the politics right. I don't know how many of you follow Brazilian politics. Well, actually, all of you should follow Brazilian politics. I mean, do you like Game of Thrones, Maury Povich, the impeachment hearings? Drama. You've got to get into Brazilian politics. Holy crap! They had a presidential election a couple of years ago, and the final two guys. One guy was campaigning from prison where he had been convicted of corruption, because in Brazil you can run for office from prison. You just can't, be president. And then the guy who won at his last big public rally said that the real problem with those Nazis is that they're just too soft on their domestic opponents.
Who that be?
Floyd, your mic is fucking up again.
Oh, Parasite, what up, man? Yo, we like up in the middle of a video at the moment, right?
Oh no, I'll leave then.
No, it's cool. Like, you can hang out as long as you're watching the video and reacting to what's going on.
But fucking
Okay.
Floyd is being annoying in the background again. That's what he meant.
My mic is not fucking up. What are you talking
no,
about?
no,
I have been sitting here motionless.
Yo, look, here's the deal. Like, all you got to do is hit that little microphone button. Like, while we're standing here watching the video, when you have something to say, you want to ask a question, you undo it, and then you go, yo, Tom Peace. What's going on? That's how you do things. All right. Yo, and by the way, Tennessee Marine, what up, man? Welcome. And by the way, anybody hear that about Brazil? The last presidential election, one of them actually ran from prison. Yo, that is awesome and hilarious at the same time. As I said, Brazil is going to no longer be a country here soon, because legit, without somebody standing here, legit helping them on a regular basis, and China, needing their stuff, they're not gonna. No one's gonna pay for premium, garbage from that country. Legit, it's just unnecessary. The only reason people pay for it now is because, it's an absolute necessity. Or because like they have the extra money to do so. You can do this at home. Like most of the stuff that they ship out, like Brazil's just it's garbage. Let's keep going.
Wow.
Except
So this honestly is probably 2 lost decades. And for a country like Brazil that is so dependent on imported capital, coronavirus means that they're probably not going to return to 2019 ever either. Here we have India in purple and Turkey in black.
Aztec Dragon, what up? Welcome, man. Have a wrench. You know what I'm saying? What up, Tennessee Marine? Nice to see you out here, my brother.
Two countries that are still early in the process. Now, both of these countries have already elected to office for multiple terms ethno-nationalist leaders who have no problem using state resources to spawn race riots on purpose in order to get a bump in the polls from their more reactionary supporters. I think Trump's bad. They have nothing on these two. Now, you'll notice that the Turkish line, the black one, actually dipped last year. Why? Well, that was the start of their financial correction. What also happened last year? The Turks invaded Syria and Iraq. It was a distraction play. And then here's the People's Republic of China. And let me bring that down for you. Yeah. China is now the most over-credited country in human history in both relative and absolute terms. It is Enron in nation-state form. Every system that we know, every company that has ever followed this model of force-fed capital has eventually collapsed. It's just a question how bad it will be. And China's now pushed this further and harder than anyone else. So it's going to be historically unique. Now, the point of all of this is that there's a large series of major financial crises that aren't just inevitable. Some of them might actually be imminent. That's a lot of money that's going to be looking for a safer location. What does foreign money want? Rule of law, hard fiscal assets, implicit government guarantees, dividends. If you're looking to tap global credit for local development, there will never be a better time than right now. All right, that's finance. Let's look at energy. What we've got here is a price breakdown. So the broader the bar, the greater the volume of crude oil that comes out of the various countries for export. The taller the bar, the greater the cost of producing the crude. Now, this is data from 8 years ago, 2012. And back then, U.S. shale was the most expensive crude in the world to produce. And we only kicked out about 4 million barrels a day. That's about Iran at its peak. Now, for a country the size of the United States, that was useful, but it really didn't change the strategic math. That was then. Fast forward 8 years, and we've had breakthroughs in water management, data management, drilling technology. And the U.S. is now one of the lowest cost producers in the world. And as of the first of the year, we were net oil exporters. Now, COVID is scrambling all the data, so we're going to have to take another look at this in a few months once things calm down. But the United States is here to stay as a major oil producer, as a net exporter, and it's not like these technologies are going to be uninvented. This is the new normal. The U.S. really doesn't need the rest of the world to keep the lights on. But California does. California is the only state in the lower 48 that is not participating in the shale revolution in some way. It is now, of the states, the single largest oil importer. Two-thirds of the oil that California uses is imported. About half of that comes from the Persian Gulf, which means that California is now the most energy insecure state. And if there was any sort of shock that interrupted oil production globally, most of the United States would reorganize on the shale sector, which would keep energy prices low and calm, whereas California would be the only state that would still be forced to go out into the international market to source an ever more volatile and ever smaller energy supply. There is an energy crisis in the United States, but it's only for California. Now, the other side of the shale revolution isn't with oil, it's with natural gas. Now, what we've got here is something I'll call the checkbook map, because every dot is somewhere where someone can pay the power bill. The most important concentration of checkbooks in human history is this dot right here. This is Marshalltown, Iowa. This is where I'm from. And this is not a rave. Western North Dakota, I don't think so. Now, what's going on here is a problem disconnect with transport. Now, oil is a liquid. You can put it into a bucket, you can put it into a rail car, you can put it into a barge, you can put it into almost any sort of container. And if you can't move it that day, you'll just put it into a holding tank. It's not going to move anywhere on you.
Well, because Cali has decided that, shale is super destructive to the environment, and they bought into all the left wing, it causes earthquakes and, it disrupts people's ability to get water at their house, and, it pollutes the local groundwater and all this stuff that's
fracking sets the water on fire.
Yeah, no, that's not how it works. All right, legit, your water always was set on fire if it can be setting on fire. You know what I mean? Right. World government and one curse is what will save the world. Their official takeover. Believe me, it's not going to happen. All right, legit, globalism's dying. All right, it's dead. This is the end of globalism. It's fucking over. You understand what I'm saying? Cali ruined your goddamn state. Valerie Parker, I don't know what state you're in. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Cali has bought completely into nonsense. It's just like Oregon and Washington has bought into, the anti-vaxxing nonsense when it comes down to it.
California sucks constantly with forest fires. What was it, 2011 blackout?
Yep.
Is that the year they had a major blackout? They always have shit over there wrong with them.
Was that the year that people in fucking LA were calling 911 and wondering what that light in the sky was? It's the moon, you fucking idiots.
You serious? They were actually no, stop.
Dude, go on YouTube.
Oh my
Go
God.
on YouTube. You can find 911 calls.
First about Floyd's a moron, so he's wrong. Second about, yeah, it was when the lights were out, you could actually see. Have you seen those videos like in the desert or pictures when you could see the stars and it's just breathtaking, like beautiful. Yeah. Well, when California went down, everybody saw that because there was no light pollution. So there were a lot of people calling 911 because they were scared of the stars.
And by the way, Valerie Parker,
I can't even imagine.
Valerie Parker,
legitimately, that was a fact.
The best
Colorado died. Michael Hatfield, what up, man? And BB, my brother, welcome. Colorado died in the 2010s because y'all passed the weed legalization shit, and weed turns people into communists. Like it's an actual fucking fact. Like the more weed you have in your state,
honest.
the more communist your state is.
Weed never turned me into a commie.
The best thing that has come out of California in the past 30 years is rooftop Koreans.
Yeah, basically.
Where can I buy those? But where can I buy those? Can I buy a rooftop Korean?
No shit.
I mean, California.org, maybe.
Yeah. All right.
You're gonna have to,
they're pretty small Koreans. I mean, I'm 6'2". I could pick one up and just put one in my house.
Yo, just put it on your back and carry it around with you. You know what I'm saying? Like the gun's going to be the heaviest part. You know, when it really comes down. But BB, man, are you watching the stream?
No.
Well, you need to watch the stream because I'm streaming right now and I'm breaking down a video and I can't share it because I don't have enough internet. Right. So you're going to have to watch it on YouTube as we go through. It's been a great video thus far. Legit.
Okay. Well,
my
laptop's
that's
almost dead. My phone's almost dead. So I saw you guys are bullshit. I didn't.
Yeah, man. I was hanging out here breaking down this Peter Zeihan dude. You know, I mean, he just did a new video like 2 days ago. So I was like, yo, I'm on this. You know, and it's great information and legit. It's, awesome to talk about. It's always some stuff that we can all have a conversation about. So, kind of is what it is. But anyway, yeah, like we're going to keep banging. Right now, he's talking about them flaring off natural gas out in the North Dakotas because they don't have any way to transport it. So
all right.
We're gonna keep going on this.
But you can't do that with natural gas. It's a gas. It disperses. So you have to have a pressurized collection, transport, and usage system that's leak-free that can process the end product just as fast as it comes in because you almost can't store it anywhere. Now, here in the United States, we've got the world's largest and most versatile natural gas distribution system, but we can barely keep up with what's coming up out of the shale oil fields as a byproduct. So until we can build out the infrastructure, we have to flare it. And you can see those flares from space. Now, what that means is that the United States is now the world's largest supplier of natural gas. And that has driven the price of the stuff well below what you would expect market norms to be. What can't you do with an endless supply of it? We've retooled our entire industrial sector, especially in petrochem, to use natural gas whenever possible. So we're not using as much oil. We're not even using as much electricity. And that's made the U.S. That has made the United States the lowest cost supplier for all of the chemical inputs that are a basis for everyday life. And of course, the least creative but most important way right now that we're using all this extra natural gas is burning it for electricity. What we've got here is average power prices in the United States for all folks, whether it's residential, industrial, or otherwise. And you'll see that about 10 years ago, when the shale revolution began, power prices more or less flatlined. Since then, we've seen no significant increase in power prices, and the U.S. now has the cheapest electricity in the world without even using subsidies. You can look at specific states to give an idea of how it's different around the country. This is New York, where it is illegal to produce natural gas in any appreciable volume, but they have no problem importing it from next door in Pennsylvania. And then here is Texas, where, of course, it's wildly legal to produce the stuff, and they have seen power prices drop by about 30% in the last decade, among the lowest in the country now. But here's California. California is the only state in the lower 48 that is not participating in the shale revolution in some way. They're not using the technologies to produce locally, and the pipelines that bring natural gas in from the rest of the country have been at max capacity for quite some time. So California now has the highest electricity prices in the lower 48. They're going up, and they're probably going to be going up for at least the next 25 to 30 years. After that, we'll have to see what happens with technology. But it does put California at a competitive disadvantage versus the rest of the country. And then there's the issue of transport. Now, back during the 1980s, the Iranians and the Iraqis were involved in a bitter war. And by the time we got to 1985, that war on land had reached a stalemate. So they started throwing missiles at each other's commercial shipping. In this tanker war, 300 vessels were hit, 50 were disabled, and about a dozen were sunk. That almost destroyed the global insurance industry because no one had ever made allotments for damage to commercial shipping, which is normally a low risk venture, on that scale. And it changed the way we insure vessels. Today, if you want to insure your vessel, you have to pay for an annual premium about 2.5% the value of your vessel. That assumes you never sail into a conflict zone. Should you sail into a conflict zone, the price of that insurance increases by a factor of 100 to be paid out every week. That assumes no one shoots at any commercial shipping. Should someone be taking pot shots at commercial vessels, your policy evaporates. It's null and void. So the first time in this post-America world where shipping is targeted, you can guarantee that no one is going to be sailing anywhere near these conflict zones. That's 3/4 of manufacturing supply chain steps, 3/4 of global agricultural shipments, and 3/4 of global energy supplies. Gone. Now, for most Americans, this is a minor issue. Most of our trade is within the Western Hemisphere. In fact, half of our trade is just with Canada and Mexico. It doesn't have to sail in the deep blue sea. But that's not the case for California. California isn't just the state most dependent upon trade with East Asia, it's the trade gateway, has lots of throughput, all of which sails the deep blue sea. You can get.
All right. Y'all let me know, you know what I'm saying, when y'all got caught up to when I paused the stream, or I paused the video on the stream. Dun, 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 dun.
Shut up.
Well, I didn't finish it, but I'm just gonna say California's fucked, and the rest of America is great.
Yeah, that's kind of the deal.
There.
Right. All right, cool. So now, with all that being understood, right? You know what I mean? Where like legitimately California is about to be in a very, very, very bad way here soon.
Good, they earned it. Fucking commies.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. I agree with you. You know, I mean, the shipping industry is going to be decimated across the country from this. You know, I mean, just due to the fact that they don't have as much goods. You know, I mean, coming into the, you know, I mean, go across country. But on the same point, there's going to be a lot of things coming from the East Coast and through the Midwest and from Mexico heading into California, which should make up for some of it. But California legit is going to have to change its attitudes about stuff.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, yeah, screw them and all that. I just don't want them moving to other states, which I know they're going to do, and then spread that shit like a fucking disease with their commie bullshit.
Oh, you have to understand, a lot of this commie bullshit, what it really comes down to is, all right, so cities breed communism.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, just in general. Like, you can't be a citizen of a city and not have some type of socialist ideologies, because inside of a city, the reason why you live there is because of the fact that you all share in the road maintenance, in the building maintenance, in policing, in fire departments, in water supplies, in all these, in electricity, in, cable and phone. All these things are shared amongst y'all, right? So you have a social ideology that all of y'all have to pay for all of this for everybody else, and public transportation because there's not enough room for cars, and just da 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 da. Like, one problem is everybody's problem at the same time. So it's a very socialist ideology. And legit, Californians, I don't know if there's anywhere for them to go if they leave LA. If they leave, down in Southern California, there's not a lot of places that they're going to be able to go to and fill in. As far as cities are really concerned, because they're already over capacity, other than Detroit and Chicago, and they're not going to move to the north.
No.
So I don't.
Yeah, I get the whole thing that, they're in cities and people who want to be left alone and more on farmlands. But yeah, they brought on themselves. It's like, dude, if you guys just for 1 second would just stop to think, but they never stop. They keep going and going.
Well, yeah, they're assholes. That tends to be how it works. But yep. Yeah, that's really where it's at with California, is the fact that there is, how many people are in California? 20 million, 24 million, something like that?
Yep. And people have been moving out, or at least the successful people, like crazy for the past how many years?
Oh, yeah. It's had a mass exodus in general population of people who have lived there, for probably the past 10 years, something along these type of lines, maybe 15.
I think even more than that.
Yeah. Well, nobody can tolerate, bless you, nobody can tolerate the taxes. That's kind of where it's at. Like, if you have a business, you can't tolerate those type of taxes inside of your business.
It's so bad that, even people that work in Microsoft, as high tech companies, they can't even afford a 1-bedroom apartment. That's how bad it is. Even TFM says, the van industry is booming there because no one can afford a goddamn house of any kind.
Yeah. And the thing is they try to.
Yeah, I work at Microsoft and I live in a cardboard box.
Oh, yeah. Individuals are living in their cars working at Microsoft and Google. And Silicon Valley has that same problem. He's about to address a whole bunch of this because he's actually talking to individuals in Santa Clarita. Right? That's what this,
right.
I
gotta go for just a couple minutes. I'll be back.
All right, man. I'm saying we're going to keep banging on this video.
An idea of where some of these exposures specifically lie when you look at manufacturing chains. The 1555 in the middle of this graphic is total value-added manufacturing within the United States. And all the circles and arrows on the outside pointing in are where all the components come from. The 1555 in the middle of this graphic indicates the total of value-added manufacturing in the United States. That 1555, that's $1.555 trillion. All of the circles and arrows that flow in from the outside indicate the value
I apologize, folks. I don't know what the hell it is going on. My internet done dropped off for a second. It happens from time to time. Oh man, legit, it just keeps dropping off. I don't know what the deal is. We're at 2,500. We're running. We're in the green. We're good. We're good. Yo. All right, let's hit X on that. We got good connection. We're rocking and rolling. We are back. We're going. We're doing what we got to do. Okay, can y'all hear me out there in chat land? Okay, we're good. We're good. I apologize, folks. Sometimes that happens. All right, we drop down to 0 again. Man, listen. Just up and down. It's up and down. It'll be that way sometimes. Legit.
They're throttling. They're throttling your internet, dude.
Well, that happens. But it goes up to 3,000 and then it comes back down to 25. Right. And so, huh?
That's been happening to me lately too.
The internet companies legit need to get their shit together. All right. So
they're fucking us because they're the only game in town. I live in the middle of nowhere. I only have one ISP out here. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. All I got's Xfinity out here too. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Okay, so we're good. Okay, let's keep, we're at 1,500, 2,300. All right, we're going to keep trying to bang through this video. We're 36 minutes out of an hour and 2. We're going to try and get through this. Let's keep going.
Program. The idea that China is seeking technological parity with the United States in just 5 years. If you talk to any Chinese bureaucrat behind closed doors where their minder is not listening, it'll become pretty obvious to you that 2025 is really just the first step. They don't expect true parity until at least 2070. They don't have that kind of time. Now, some version of this holds true. Obviously, especially in manufacturing, the US is very well positioned for the low end. The shale revolution and low transport costs to end consumers bodes very well for American low-end manufacturers. And the US is also well positioned on the high end. The US has the capital, the tech, and the labor force. And within manufacturing, there are 2 subsectors that are very heavily exposed to this. The first is automotive, but about 2/3 of that is within NAFTA. That's manageable. The bigger concern is the second one, technology manufacturing. About 2/3 of that is in East Asia. And we'll come back to that in just a minute. First, we have to have an idea of the decision-making process here. If this were just about energy and markets and transport and resources and finance, everybody would be handing to the United States. But it's not. It's also about coronavirus. No one knows precisely how long the pandemic will last or in what order it will end, and this graphic gives you an idea of why. You can see the United States, the blue line, has never really recovered from our first wave, and we're already starting to gear up for something worse. The European Union did recover from their first wave, but they're already back to their first wave highs and are actually seeing a number of states like Spain that are already suffering new infection rates that are worse than what we have here in the United States. The Middle East and the Latin American countries are on the whole as bad or worse than what's going on here in the United States. So you've got to decide what matters. If you were already looking to escape from China in 2019, whether it's because of human rights or information security or the police state or what's going on in Hong Kong or the genocide in Xinjiang, coronavirus only confirms your decision and you accelerate your own extraction. But if you were hanging on due to sunk costs, you're probably going to wait to be forced by circumstances or governments. And for the most part, that's the view of Silicon Valley. They have bet their entire existence on globalization. Nearly their entire manufacturing chain is in East Asia, and very little of that is going to last, which means that when they do move, when they are forced to move, it will all move at once. Potential recipient locations who are ready for that can inherit 50 years of supply chain expansion almost overnight. And potential recipient locations who cannot will get nothing. Why am I specifically mentioning Silicon Valley and computing manufacturing? Personally, I think semiconductor manufacturing would be a great fit for Santa Clarita. Now, we've talked about energy and transport and finance already. Let's look at some of the peculiarities of your geography and give you an idea of what that means for your possibilities. Let's start with a population density map. As you can see, California's population centers are not simply isolated from Canada and Mexico. They're separated from the US writ large and even from other major West Coast population centers. You zoom in a little bit and you can see that the Los Angeles basin isn't simply separated from the West Coast, it's broken off from the rest of California itself. Zoom in a little bit more. The various lobes of the LA basin are largely on their own. And even within the various lobes, there really isn't much of a transport network. It's pretty wretched. The population footprint is too dense to function without mass transit, and as you all know, there's really no mass transit within Los Angeles. I'm sure you've all sat in LA traffic for far more of your life than you would have liked to. So California is not participating in the shale revolution. So you should pencil in ever-rising power prices and a sustained energy crisis. California is not part of the American, much less the North American transport network, so it cannot generate economies of scale. Los Angeles cannot even generate economies of scale within LA. This all urges California to use its ocean frontage to integrate with places over the horizon. But unfortunately, that pattern is collapsing. And of course, Santa Clarita itself is largely hived off from the rest of LA. That means that Santa Clarita cannot compete in anything that requires cheap or reliable transport. You also cannot compete in anything that's low margin because you can never achieve economies of scale. You must move up the value-added chain as far and as quickly as possible. So let's look at what COVID and deglobalization are making available. Every industry has its own characteristics, but review what we know. Finance will become more difficult, but not in the US. Complex supply chains are going away, but the United States writ large does not need to worry about transport. The United States has the best skilled labor market in the world, and skilled labor is mobile. Proximity to markets is key, and the United States is the market that matters. And large industry relocations will require large greenfield footprints. With that in mind, I see 6 subsectors of manufacturing.
Okay, so with all that being said, legitimately,
Wait.
What up? Oh, go ahead, man. Go do your thing. Yeah, I'm over here tossing alley biscuits at motherfuckers, making sure they keep running them, you know what I'm saying, in the hamster wheels and whatnot.
Okay.
All right, so you're good to go, gaming?
Mm-hmm.
All right, with that being said, legitimately, I don't understand why you would look at the West Coast at all. Like, I don't understand at all why you would look at the West Coast in any way, shape, or form. If, like, you were going to bring businesses back that were going to, like, do technical innovation and technical manufacturing, why would you go to the West Coast? As an in general question.
Okay, I have a question myself. What the hell, technological or manufacturing, is there in Tennessee? There's nothing.
There's a lot. Believe it or not, there's a lot. There's a lot of manufacturing in Tennessee. But that's not the point. What I'm saying is why would you go to the West Coast? Right? Like, why? Why?
You wouldn't.
Like, I would never go to the West Coast at all. I'd go to, like, Delaware if I was going to do technical manufacturing.
Why not Texas or Florida?
It's the West Coast is hella big.
Okay, the reason I would not go to Texas
would I want to move
or Florida?
materials?
Well, here's the reason I would not go to Texas or Florida. Because if you have a bunch of manufacturing there. Like, y'all do like a bunch of like low end things as far as stuffs are concerned, and you have high end stuff, right? I would go to like Delaware, and I'll tell you why. Because it is super close to places like MIT and Harvard and Princeton and a lot of East Coast high-end colleges where you're going to end up having a lot of graduates very close to be able to work for you. That's why I would go to Delaware instead of Texas or Florida. And on top of that, you're right in the I-95 corridor, right near Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philly, New York, Jersey, Boston, Connecticut. You're on the way to Atlanta, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida. I mean, I know you're a large trip away from places like Texas, and on top of that, you're right in the East Coast. So if you want to say like sell to Europe or Britain, you're really close to be able to do that, and you're real close to Canada and Toronto, and I forget the name, Quebec. Yeah, Quebec, right up 81.
Nobody cares for Quebec.
Feel you, you know what I mean? But like again,
You're
what up?
yeah, you're a trucker.
What?
What do you mean? What?
I know you said I'm a trucker, and then what?
You know what's where.
Yeah.
You've been through my state.
Yeah.
You've been right through my fucking area. I guarantee you have. If you've ever been on I-275, then
Is he breaking up for just me, or is that everybody?
Yes, just us. So consider yourself happy. I'm happy.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, cool. So it's everybody. All right, so that's cool. Anyway, so we're gonna get into like predictions as far as manufacturing are concerned. You know what I mean?
I'm back.
What? You're back. Welcome back, Florida man. And Templar, what up? You know what I'm saying? Tennessee Marine, nice to see you still out here in the chat and whatnot. Yeah, like dude, there's a lot of stuff that happens in Tennessee.
Before you go any further, I still have to disagree with you
About what?
when it comes to Texas being a very good area for manufacturing and
I know it is.
Technologies.
I know it is. I'm just saying, as far as end market users are concerned, your best bet is on the East Coast.
I disagree. Although Florida is on the East Coast, but
I mean, like,
I still think that Florida is a very, very, very I don't know, it's almost undergraded when it comes to what you could do in Texas. Plus, we have so much mass land that we can build to create more factories and make even new cities and cities around factories. And
Yeah, we still got lots of land over here, just even in Florida.
there is tons of land in Texas and Arizona and Nevada that could be devoted to factories.
yeah, but Texas has better taxes
I feel
than
you.
Florida. And Florida.
Delaware has even better taxes. Delaware is the same way to Florida and Texas.
Yeah, but if you would have a choice, where would you want to live? Delaware or Texas and Florida?
Okay.
I mean,
Again,
I'm used to the heat. That's just me. I'm just used to heat already.
Yeah, I feel you.
well, Texas and Florida share the same type of heat, depending on the area.
Delaware seems like it would kind of suck. It might be kind of cold, and I wouldn't like that. I'm a Hoosier myself, so I'm used to the very mild seasons.
I'm accustomed to building igloos in the wintertime and like having fucking heat so bad that it feels like I hit with a wet towel walking outside in the summer. Right? I understand how this operates. But what I'm trying to say is this. If you want to put things in the supply chains and limit the amount of transport cost, again, places like Delaware are great. And on top of that, if you want to have a place where you're going to have a naturally large amount of individuals who are high value added for things like making microchips, Delaware is going to be a great place to be for you.
Properly managed, I think Indianapolis could be a great fucking place for this.
I think Indianapolis is fucking garbage.
Mm-hmm. Nobody cares about Indianapolis.
Templar, what up, man? Yeah, Indianapolis is fucking trash. All right, and not only that, but like you're getting okay. And here's the other part of this: you're going to require massive amounts of things like silicone and rare earth metals when making these type of things. So being able to sit here and have it all, like legit, like being able to like having that transport close to you, Texas is going to suck. And Florida will be cool for it, but Again, you got to deal with hurricanes and Florida people.
What about Detroit?
I'm gonna
If you
go
want to
with
commit
That's
suicide
a
or get killed,
crime-ridden fucking shithole.
yeah,
Very
Detroit.
true, but they got so much land.
Yeah, I know, but the problem with
Yeah,
Detroit
and it's
is
garbage.
their regulations
The
are fucking
unions.
trash. Yeah, and the permitting and all the bullshit you're gonna go
And their
through.
buildings, most of them are
I've
falling
watched
apart.
a billion videos on Detroit. It was so fascinating. That's how I started getting into all this years back.
Yeah, I've been to Detroit and I've slept in the worst neighborhoods in Detroit in my truck. Like, I'll be honest with you, that place is a
You
fucking
poor
shithole.
gorilla.
Yo,
It's a war zone. It literally looks like a war zone.
Yo.
You put a picture of a war zone on that, you couldn't tell the difference.
Yo, it legit looks like a fucking episode of The Walking Dead. I'll be honest with you.
Actual war veteran says, dude, I can't tell between this and like Afghanistan or whatever. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that kind of is what it is. And the problem is that they still have all the taxes and laws and regulations that they had back when like the fucking Motor City was the Motor City.
Yep.
That's the issue. You know what I mean? But with a place like Delaware, where there's not going to be any regulations and you're not going to have to deal with any of that bullshit and you're not going to have like state and property taxes and like
Indy would be such
like
a
for
bad
instance,
choice.
YouTube is a Delaware company.
Okay.
Like if you look up YouTube's address, it's in Delaware. Because it's a tax haven. You know what I mean? So like legit, it would be like the best place in the world to do this. Like in the United States, as far as shit's concerned.
Yeah, I think I read something about that.
Let's put taxes aside for a moment and let's look at absolute logistics. Indy is a central city. It's right in the heartland.
Oh, okay. Okay. Listen to me. If we wanted to like make something out of corn, all right, it would be we build it in Indiana. Okay. But if you want to make things out of things that you have to ship into ports, you probably want to be close to a coast. You understand?
You do realize that southern Indiana has indirect access to the ocean, yes?
Okay.
Via about 3 routes.
Yeah, I know how great the water system is. But like legit, if you want to stand here and like have massive amounts of imported silicone and rare earth metals and you know any other materials you're going to need to build these chips, legit, you're going to want to put it on a coastal city. That's why they do these things in places like California.
Okay. I'm not disagreeing with you that moving materials here would be a logistic, because well, frankly it would. All right, you're gonna have to transport materials to ports and then move them upriver and through dams and locks and ports and whatnot, and it's not.
Yeah, and then on top of that,
manufacturing would not be good here.
And on top of that, not only that, right? On top of that, then you have to ship it to a place where people are going to buy it. Again, you want to be close to some of the fucking hubs of like civilization in the United States, because that's where the people are who are going to buy your goods, you know, in like New York and LA and, you know what I'm saying, fucking, you know, Dallas and Atlanta and, you know, fucking DC and places where there's people. In Indianapolis, the closest fucking city to Indianapolis legitimately is real city.
Columbus.
I said
Indiana.
Real city. I said real city.
Cincinnati. Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Cincinnati would probably be our closest.
Yeah, and that's 5 hours away. Well, 4 hours away. 3 hours away. 3 hours away.
What? Have you? What?
It's 3 hours.
Oh, that's only like an hour.
Bullshit. It's 65 miles just to the Ohio state line.
at 60 miles an hour, that's like an hour 10.
Yeah, but again, you have to go to Cincinnati then. That's just the Ohio state line. It's 65 miles from Indianapolis. Right. Anyway,
yes,
look,
sir.
We're getting into the weeds about this. But let's keep going.
Okay.
We got about 20 minutes left on this video.
God damn.
Manufacturing that are going to relocate to the United States in large scale. The first top left is automotive. The automotive industry is one of the most complex in the world. Everyone builds a little bit of everything. But what coronavirus plus the trade war have done is they've disrupted these complex supply chain systems. Combine that with shale lowering local costs, and a lot of this has already moved back and more will in the year to come. Second, electronics, the bottom left. Kind of like automotive, everyone produces a lot of everything, but there's nothing really secretive about it. There's no real technological breakthroughs that people are trying to predict. That means it's easier to relocate than automotive because you don't have to worry about intellectual property to the same degree. Third, heavy machinery, top center. This is one of those that is going to move very, very quickly. It's similar to automotive, but it's a lot more concentrated because not everybody needs a forklift. Now, there's a clause in the new NAFTA agreement that mandates that 80% of components must come from within North America. Here in the United States, we've largely outsourced that entire sector to China since the year 2000. It's all coming roaring back now. Bottom center is another one that's moving very quickly, wiring. The shale revolution has pushed production costs because of energy through the floor. Once you have the ore, you have to smelt it into an ingot and then pull it into a wire. Those are very energy intensive states, which means the United States is now the low cost producer. Top right's a fun one that nobody really saw coming. Textiles. The technology of automated yarn spinning and cloth weaving and cutting is now cheaper than doing it with human labor in places like India and Bangladesh. We're going to see that industry writ large move back to the West. None of these five are what I would consider perfect for Santa Clarita. You don't really have a competitive advantage in land, labor, or energy. But the last one, the bottom right, semiconductors, that just might be for you. Now, some parts of the computing supply chain can be relocated right now. Motherboards, flash drives, final computer assembly, putting together things that are made from microchips. That's all currently in Thailand and China, and all of those facilities are already looking for new locations more appropriate to the world that we are entering. For the steps that can't be automated, where you still need human eyes and fingers, Mexico is a solid candidate. But for steps where it can be automated, the United States looks pretty good, and it might be something that Santa Clarita would want to look into. But I'm, for you, more interested in the earlier steps of the process, the manufacturing of the chips themselves. These four photos kind of give you the rough idea of how it works. In the bottom right, you start with silicon powder and you melt it down and draw it into a crystal. You slice it into thin wafers. Those wafers in the top right are then doped and baked to form the pathways that electrons follow in the semiconductors. You then get the top left, a big old disk with dozens, if not hundreds, of these kind of pre-chip materials. And those are broken apart in the bottom left and installed into chip formats that can then be used in any sort of computer process. The fun part about this is that this is all done in independent countries, individual countries. But the really fun part is all of this, from the drawing of the crystals to the doping and baking of the chips to the breaking apart and the making of the microprocessors themselves, it's all done in the same facility. It's a clean room issue. It all has to be done under the same roof. Now, relocating a semiconductor fabrication facility isn't something to be done lightly or quickly. Those are multi-billion-dollar facilities. But I encourage you to think big, because these fab facilities are going to have to move. To give you an idea of the speed, all these shifts in manufacturing are not simply a forecast. This break from China is already underway. This graphic shows how fast things have moved to this point. The slider indicates what has left or come to China or other locations in the last couple of years. The blue is for China specifically, and the further left the slider is, the greater the percentage of total inputs that are now coming from somewhere else. There are a few subcategories here to pay attention to. First, these three categories are one where U.S. shale is likely to predominate and is driving the change. Second, it's a largely regulatory issue, places where Team Lighthizer has forced changes into the treaty, which preferences North American production. Third are areas where Team Lighthizer has basically thrown tariffs on China and encouraged companies to relocate anyway. And then finally, there's the issue of cost in China rising, primarily, although not exclusively, due to rising labor costs. Now, in the industry where the Chinese have managed to maintain market share, energy, chemicals, agriculture, these are primarily industries in which there's a degree of heavy industrial legacy. You don't want to move this stuff. It's like a major refinery, a major chemicals plant. And it takes time to build the new infrastructure. But the United States is the world's cheapest producer of natural gas, which is the primary input for most of these processes. So all of this is going to move, and it just takes a little bit of time for the United States to build out the industrial infrastructure. That is already happening. That was happening before coronavirus. That was happening before the trade war. So all of this is going to vanish in relatively short order. Second, the industries where China is losing market share most quickly: furniture, electronics, machinery. All of those are industries where incremental shifts are viable. If you have a car that has 3,000 parts, well, you can make 2 or 3 in a different location. But the more parts you build in other locations, the more you've established an alternate production system elsewhere. It's an accelerating process. Most independent estimates project today that operational costs for manufacturing in North America in every manufacturing sector is now lower than pre-existing China-centric Asian manufacturing. Now, that doesn't mean you can just flip a switch. You still have to build the industrial plant in the United States. That is not free. But if you know that the end result of this is a better operating environment, the case is being made industry by industry that it's time to go. Just in calendar year 2019, we had a 20% reduction in the shipments from China to the United States for value-added manufacturing components.
All right, y'all let me know when y'all's about caught up.
Okay.
All right. So, okay, here's the thing. Like, legitimately, I was hearing about this 3 or 4 years ago when they were talking about, what were they saying? Like 3 or 4 years ago, they were talking about there are 10-year plans right now for people to bring manufacturing back to the United States for a lot of these large companies. This is something that I heard about a while back. And legit, this is kind of like just kind of confirming, what I was hearing rumblings about. And this is something that, had a whole lot to do with the fact that shipping costs were going up and the price of taxes were going up and the price of labor in China was going up. And, the fact that automation technology was coming out to make things so cheap to build that you no longer needed a shit ton of people to be able to do it. And it would just be easier to do with machines and more reliable. So, gaming, what do you think?
I like chocolate.
I like cereal.
What the fuck just happened?
What, man? Y'all don't know about that, man? Like, yo, gotta pay attention to Foster's Home for Imaginary Children.
I'm a boomer.
Friend. Boomer? How old are you, motherfucker?
Late 20s. I'm a new boomer.
That is not a boomer.
That is not a boomer. Yeah, man. Like, yo,
New boomer.
Gaming's in his 40s. I'm in my late 30s.
I know.
I'm pushing 40.
Ain't that fucking sad? Like, yo, man, I feel old as shit.
Oh my god, dude, it's so crazy.
What's it like? Do you guys have your sex drive still?
No.
I do.
I still fuck constantly.
I have my sex drive, but it goes unfulfilled.
Like yo, legit. Like yo, I be thinking like I'd be like weighing between pussy and food, and I'd be like, food wins way too often.
You can stick your dick in food anyway.
Like yo, I could fuck this bitch, or I can go make a sandwich.
Shouldn't the
Sandwich is
bitch
gonna
make
be
the
good.
sandwich for you afterwards?
Yo, yeah, but like you be on.
But
some
you burn
shit.
energy though.
Yeah,
That's the thing. You'd be more hungry.
Yeah,
Like,
you,
nah, you need to make
you
a
gotta
steak sandwich
get
at this
that
point.
charge. You gotta get that charge first, and then you might go after the pussy.
yeah, like yeah, nah. See, that's the problem. It's like you get some good food in you, right? Like legit. Like I'll be over here. Like I came home from work and I had my girl stop and grab me some fucking Robertos. They got me a cheesesteak and some fries. And legit, I like yo, I pounded out this cheesesteak with the mozzarella on top and the sauce in it, and like yo, it was fresh made bread. And like yo, I ate this after a 7-hour drive, and she's sitting there naked, right, like rubbing my shit, and I'm just like, nope.
Yo. I might be more jealous of the fact that you got a fucking cheesesteak
Yeah,
than you got some pussy.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Legit. That's where it's at right now.
One's easier to get than the other. That's why.
Like yo, it just
That's debatable, bro. A good cheesesteak is hard to come by.
yo, I'm from the Berg.
That's
We got
what
the
I
best
meant.
cheesesteaks in the world. Like, like yo, it is
I know
what it
where
is.
you're from, and I know the food you get, and god damn it,
Oh, I went to
I wish I lived where you live.
Yo, I went to Kansas City this week and I got some Kansas City barbecue. Not joking with you, dude. Like, I couldn't stop putting it in my mouth. Like, it was amazing. It was like the best thing I ever ate in my whole life. I brought the barbecue sauce home with me just so I could, like, you know what I mean, figure out something to put it on.
This shit goes on everything.
I was more excited about the cheesesteak than I was about pussy. I'll be honest with you. You know what I mean? That's the level that you get on when you get old. You just be like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm older and I still I still prefer sex.
but he's a
Yeah,
homosexual, though.
we already know you're just fucking perpetually horny. So
Yeah, but he's a
that's
homosexual.
par for the
Like he hasn't had to go through the bullshit we had to go through with broads on a regular basis.
But yeah, but dude, I have coworkers who are super gay and they want me, but man, they can get it whenever they want. Like,
Yeah,
they just decide, yeah, I want to get laid now. Boom, done.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
yeah. That's
I
kind of
sneeze and I have some ass. Yeah.
yeah.
Which-
like we don't have that. You know what I mean? Like when you get older, and not only that, but like yo, you be like, do I feel like dealing with this broad right now? You be like, nah, I really don't.
I think I prefer a nap.
Like
I mean, I got a hand, I got lotion, I can get it over with.
Like,
And
yo,
do
I
other
could-
And
shit.
then wait, and then you fall asleep with your dick in your hand.
Hey man,
That hasn't
Look,
happened yet. But
I
I'm trying.
know I know where the fucking bathroom is. I know where I can rub one out in peace, and I know where I can fucking put on my headphones and play video games in peace.
Yeah,
You could do both in peace at the same time.
No shit.
I mean, when I watch Pinoid videos, I mean, come on, man, unzip that pants, let's go.
Yo, look, don't be
Another
jerking
one
off to
calls
my
you
videos.
Pinoid.
It's fucking
Hey, hey, why not, man? Your videos are that good.
Yo, don't jerk off to my
America.
video. It's fucking weird. All right, like yo,
Pinoid,
I mean, I'll be
you-
I
honest,
will
your videos
never
are
do
that-
that, Tom. I will
just
never
be
do that.
good.
I mean,
You can't stop me. It's happening.
That would be weird.
I
feel like
mean,
I'm being-
feelings
I
are
feel like
hurt.
my
I
videos are
I
being
don't think
sexually
nobody
harassed.
has done that to me.
You are a little bit of a slut, Pinoid. I mean, when you do economic videos, when you do political videos, I mean, come on, man. You know it. You know what you're doing. You know why you wore that shirt that day. Don't act innocent with me.
Yeah, you poor.
God damn it, I'm such a whore. All right, let's keep banging. We only got like 13 minutes left of this video. Let's knock this shit out.
It is all moving. So let's cross some T's and dot some I's when it comes to semiconductors. The fab facilities are big. They require big investment and a lot of political capital. They don't move lightly, but they do move, and they are starting to. These large fab facilities is what I think Santa Clarita should go after, because it's about finance and labor as opposed to power prices. It plays to America's strengths and it plays to your strengths while ignoring most of the weaknesses that make other manufacturing efforts a reach for the area. You can tap the labor pool of Silicon Valley. You can tap the labor pool of Greater Los Angeles without suffering from their transport weaknesses. And financing for something of this size will never be easier. Since coronavirus started, the US has already picked up its first new fab facility. It went to Phoenix. But there's another reason that I think you should target tech and tech manufacturing. Silicon Valley is about to get its butt handed to it. The Valley has placed all of its eggs in the globalization basket. Its entire manufacturing system is Asia-centric, and it will lose its entire China footprint. These facilities must move. But better for you, Silicon Valley has lost its political cover here in the United States, across the political spectrum. Now, the center left originally loved Silicon Valley because they were corporate titans with social agendas, remaking corporate America from within, or at least that's how the love affair started. But as information transmission became free, anything that impinged upon that transmission, upon that information flow, like, say, fact-checking, Silicon Valley resisted to the end. The Valley continued to disavow responsibility even when ISIS was beheading Americans on their IT platforms, even when posts were blaming California's wildfires on Antifa. The center left hasn't simply dropped its support for Silicon Valley. It now sees the Valley as a threat to democracy itself. Very top of the list of people who matter, California's own Senator, Dianne Feinstein. What about the center right? The center right used to laud the Valley as an example of what Americans could achieve in a low regulation environment with a new technology. But then Silicon Valley CEOs let their personal political views not simply shape corporate policy, but much of the Valley committed to never working for the government for anything. Most notably, though, for the intelligence community and the Defense Department. But their services were still fully available for sale. So their work could benefit the militaries and civilian monitoring programs of Russia and China. In particular, the same companies that refused to work with the US government helped build the nuts and bolts of the monitoring system that allowed China's genocide in Xinjiang. So the center right now doesn't merely question the Valley's ideology or even their patriotism, but their sanity. What's left of the American pro-business party is now anti-Silicon Valley. Now, as much credence as there is to the points of the center left and the center right, and I broadly agree with both, the concerns of America's political extremists are actually even more valid. Simply put, for the radical right, it's Main Street versus Wall Street. The populist right thinks of Silicon Valley as the greatest job-destroying machine in American history, and they are actually correct.
Y'all let me know when y'all get caught up real quick.
I
And Doku, this shit show is this is my stream. This is what we do. You know what we do where we come from. Legit.
All right, I'm caught up.
all right. Oh my god. I've got something. It's kind of old news, but it needs to be addressed. That we've got Twitter and Facebook censoring just nothing but red pills. The blue pills, they're completely fine to say whatever the fuck they want.
Well, remotely, you know what I'm saying? Like, legit, they just got done, like, we had a big problem here recently where, you know, they censored a story that came out of, call it a left-wing publication.
The New York Post,
Yeah.
is the one that Twitter completely fucking nuked, like scorched earthed it.
And Facebook.
My thing is, I agree with Pinoid. They need to have us become customers and pay for our own shit so we can say whatever the hell we want. And I'm so fucking sick and tired. People getting censored, but by like, let's say Patreon, like subscribe to our works because it's in Russia. It's like other countries actually believe in free speech and much better than we do.
Well,
So Silicon Valley on their bullshit.
And like, yeah, I mean, it's an issue of like legit. They should never have like payment processors standing here fucking like having a social conscience about where the fucking money goes. Like you just process a payment. The job of fucking dictating who is able to use your service is not yours. It's the FBI. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? Like if you think something is wrong, you tell the FBI and you have them fucking stand there and give you an order to kick them off or, you know what I mean, arrest them, whatever the case might be. Like if you're using a credit card to pay for pussy, you know what I mean? Like you deserve what the fuck it is you get. You know what I mean? That's really what the deal is. It's not your job to police us.
Where I stand is YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. They are platforms, not publishers. They are not allowed to censor anything that does not break the law on their platform.
Well, remotely, because porn doesn't break the law, but on the same point, like you can say this is a non-porn site, right? And like you should have a right to be able to do that. And you should have a right to be able to say that this is you should have a right to be able to say this is a left-wing site and we're not going to allow right-wing views.
My thing is like just straight up say we don't want right-wing or whatever red pill shit here, just social or whatever. Be honest and fine. But don't just decide, oh, we're going to shut your shit down. Oh, no, he's fine. Like, just be honest with your rules.
Yeah, and this is why, like, legitimately, I try to do economic and, you know what I mean, like, stay in these type of lanes because, like, just being real, like, I'm sick. And, like, I've caught 7 strikes on this fucking channel.
Pinoid, this is why I love your channel. Because you stay in your lane. You know what's up. You don't censor people. Everything's all good.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
You have a BitChute, right?
I do have a BitChute, but legitimately YouTube, like BitChute works as a YouTube sub. So like when they get notified that you drop a video is when they mirror your content. And YouTube doesn't give out notifications to my subs to let them know that I'm putting out content. So BitChute doesn't know that I'm dropping videos.
Damn.
I need to be more active. I need to be more active on BitChute.
I will say this about BitChute. I've always been using it to watch Halsey, TFM, and I'll try to see your stuff, Pinoid. I feel like it's getting a bit better in time. Like I've been using it more. And without really thinking about it. Yeah, because YouTube, I would just go on. But now BitChute is getting a little bit better.
Well, BitChute's a pain in the ass because of the upload process.
Oh, right? Yes, I know about that.
Yeah, like legit. It'll take fucking 6 days to process a video.
I have never uploaded anything to BitChute, so I don't know anything about that. All of my garbage, and it's garbage, is on YouTube, but... wow, that sounds rough.
Yeah, like BitChute's a pain in the ass when you straight upload it to there, right? You know what I mean? Like if you upload just like, you know, just whatever, like you do it to YouTube. And YouTube, my shit will be up in fucking 25 minutes. You know what I mean? Depending on how long it takes to process it. But if I do it on BitChute, like it'll take 6 to 7 days sometimes for my shit to fucking get up.
Are you fucking kidding me? Holy shit.
It'll be uploaded in like fucking 10 minutes. But then like the processing takes 6 to 7 days a lot of times.
Oh,
wow. That is fucking rough.
That's just how it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just run by like one guy, I think, or just a few people.
Oh, TFM bitches about this shit all the time.
All the time.
Hey, at least BitChute doesn't fucking strike you for no goddamn reason at all. So
Yeah, but
that's
figuring
a
out,
win.
like going over there and figuring out what people want to watch is difficult. Like I'll be real, man. My economic stuff rocks hard over there. I'll have like 3, 4, 500 views on shit over there, right?
Yeah. And even
But
TFM, he
yeah,
has like I think 20,000 subscribers. And I thought, for BitChute, that's pretty good. It's like I think, yeah, a lot of YouTubers or bigger YouTubers, even than TFM, are even using. I'm noticing. I got some hope for BitChute. I know it sucks now uploading all that, but hopefully eventually it'll eventually get better. I'm sure.
Isn't shit, what's his name? Suit himself. Isn't he almost exclusively BitChute because of fucking YouTube's bullshit?
I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you. Suit Yourself blocked me. And
You got blocked by Suit?
oh, I'm blocked by the whole skeptic community. You know what I'm saying? After that single mom thing happened, and I ended up getting brigaded to the point where like my name trended on Twitter. All of them decided to have a meeting about me, apparently, and they all decided I'm an asshole and they don't want to deal with me.
Dude, I don't give a fuck about those skeptic dumbasses anyway. They don't talk about solutions. They just bitch about problems. They don't get in depth on why things are happening. Just fuck off, all of them.
That's why we do what we do here, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I only listen to a monkey, a gorilla, and a Jew, and a black guy.
Yo, I feel you. Well, I got a lot of people I listen to, and I try to support the community as much as possible, legit. Because like, yo, if we don't support each other, nobody's gonna fucking help us. Like it's just how it operates.
Apparently, you're also willing to talk to a furry, so there you go.
I don't
fuck
care
gators, my man.
Yeah, man, I rape dolphins. You know what I'm saying? Just like I'm trying to get it back for them raping us at SeaWorld. You know,
charging those ticket prices? Hell yeah.
Well, I'm saying, like the dolphins be raping people, so I rape them back. Fucking revenge, goddammit. Anyway, let's keep banging. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, if cloaca is your thing, go for it. Whatever blows your back.
Let's keep rocking.
Yes, sir.
So's the radical left. Algorithms and robots don't pay taxes, but their output accrues to the operators and designers. The populist left views Silicon Valley as the top reason for America's wealth inequality, and they are right. The solution for all four factions, is to revoke the Valley's unlimited license and enact some sort of constraining regulation. Everyone wants to break Silicon Valley's power. Everyone wants to repatriate tech manufacturing. And Silicon Valley doesn't have the cost structure or the physical room or the labor force to bring the manufacturing base to the Valley in specific or even the Bay Area in general. It has to go somewhere else. Enter Santa Clarita. It's going to happen fast when it happens. But I do want to end with one final point because it might happen even faster than any of us has ever dreamed or feared. And that has to do with American culture. This is how most Americans think of themselves. The pioneer era. This is our national myth. The idea that you could go out, you could start new, and with 6 months after starting a new plow, you could be exporting grain down the greater Mississippi to sell to Europe for a high amount of cash. The can-do attitude. This is the source of it. But it does have a dark side. Because for 150 years, Americans saw their lives get better every single day. That's not normal. It was normal for us, but it's not normal. Sometimes the world punches you in the face. Sometimes you don't expect the change. And while other countries will take that in stride, while other cultures can adapt to such rapid shifts, we in the United States aren't very good at that. We think that the covenant with God has been broken. We think that the sky is going to fall. And when the world does touch us on its terms instead of ours, we panic. Now, if you're looking for someone to blame for this, I blame Canada because they were the first ones to do to us. Back in the War of 1812, they burned down our capital. Kind of a dick move, not something a good neighbor does. And as a result, we started on this pattern of reaction and overreaction. We've done it about 8 times in our history, every couple of generations. A few quick examples. 9/11 is probably the best one that's on everybody's mind right now. 3,000 dead, terrorist attack that came out of nowhere. As a side effect of our reaction to 9/11, we now have the sharp end of American power stationed on either side of every major trade and energy artery on the planet. My personal favorite is Sputnik, a beeping aluminum grapefruit. We were the head of the Russians in electronics, metallurgy, rocketry, but we wanted to make sure that whatever we threw up there was going to last. The Soviets didn't care. They just wanted to beat us to that one line. So the Sputnik went up, and 90 days later, it fell out of orbit. About the time it fell out of orbit, we launched our first satellite, Vanguard 1. It's still up there. We, however, retooled in a panic our entire industrial and educational base as a result of Sputnik. We coasted on that for 40 years.
Isn't that the
Folks,
Arizona
9/11
Memorial?
Was 19 years ago this month.
I think it was, to be honest with you. I don't think that's the Freedom Tower, but I don't know. Let's finish this up real quick, and then we'll fucking discuss the end of this.
We are going through some of the greatest changes human history has ever seen right now. To think that we're going to make it through the next few years without some sort of weird shock, I think, is naive. And what's different this time is that the United States really doesn't.
Oh my God, shut up!
What the world looks like the next day. And if you think demographic shifts, the collapse of the order, and COVID are forcing rapid changes, that's nothing compared to what would happen if the United States actually went out there and knocked over the anthill. All right, that's a lot for an hour. If you're looking for a little bit more of some suggestions, accidental superpowers, how it all started, why Americans care about what they care about, and what they're going to care about in the years to come. Absent picks up where Accidental left off, launches off with the shale revolution, and plays into the military conflicts that will erupt around the world in America's absence. And then finally, Disunited Nations came out earlier this year, and it talks about why the countries that we think are the countries of the future aren't, and who actually will be headlining in the decades to come.
Wow, Peter.
All
That was a
right.
lot for an hour.
That was a lot for an hour, right?
I was going to say it's something that I think Halsey said, is that when we react to something, we go way too far as a country.
It tends to be how it works.
Aren't we
Yeah,
the Karens of the world?
That was a lot to unpack.
I feel you.
I only caught the last I think you said it was like 13, 15 minutes or so before I jumped in. So I'm gonna let you guys talk before I really give my opinions on it. But I'm starting to formulate an opinion.
Okay, I know we'll get there in a second. Anyway, yeah, like I don't think the guy's wrong though. You know what I mean? It's
I don't understand all of it, but I agree with him.
What don't you understand?
No, I'm just saying in all the videos, everything, not every single thing. I'm saying with the guy as a whole, it makes sense. At least with the reactionary part, I clearly understand more than in economics. Yeah, we go a little too overboard on lots of things.
Well, you got like, yo, the bitches, the macro leads to the micro, leads to the macro, leads to the micro. You know how it works, man. Like, yo, it's all intertwined with geopolitics and, you know, how the fucking land structure works. Again, you got to read his books to understand, like, exactly what he's talking about, because of the fact that, like, when you're talking about, like, a country like Brazil, and people go, Brazil has great natural resources. And I go, yeah, but, like, the vast majority of the country is completely separated from the fucking coast, and getting anything to the coast to a port to be able to export is a massive pain in the ass, and they have literally no infrastructure, no fucking roads. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, you know what I mean? And they have no rivers leading to the coast. All the rivers lead inland. Like, none of it makes any goddamn sense. So that,
I can understand that, yes.
Yes. You know, and these are all things that, like, you have to understand when you look at these videos, and that's why, like, I like having gaming here, because gaming is a geography expert, believe it or not, and a possum expert, and he really likes chocolate.
Well, what's the original name? The proper name?
Oh, the Virginia opossum. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Get it right.
Goddamn possums. Oh man. So
adorable.
Thank you. Doku, my nigga.
All right. So, like I said, I only caught the last end of that. And I guess give me the Captain Crunch of what I missed.
It's the end of the world. We're all gonna die.
missed a lot, bro.
China fucked. I'll just say that China fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the entire this hour has so much information packed in it. My brain is hurting even considering fucking answering your question.
I am not the only one. Thank goodness.
All right.
I'm not kidding. My head hurts.
We're hurting the Appalachian mud gorilla. What the fuck? Stop it.
So, just from that last bit, I guess I have a good idea of where this guy is coming from. The first thing I want to touch on is when he was talking about how the center left and the center right were viewing Silicon Valley. And the only good takeaway from that is, guess what? You're both fucking idiots. Hey, you think Silicon Valley is actually going to sit there and, not sell their services? Dude, no. They're going to sell their services to whoever the fuck's going to pay them. If you think otherwise, you're an idiot.
Of course they are. And that's why I advocated for bringing these tech companies into the middle of the United States. And I advocate for Indianapolis, Indiana, because that would bring much jobs to my fucking state.
Oh, and so there's something he didn't touch on, but it's important. It's an important thing to note that when you look at big tech, everybody always thinks Silicon Valley. Because it is centralized in a certain area, it does facilitate a certain type of culture. It is not spread out. It does not want to be on the East Coast where the majority of American government is seated. They don't want to work with the American government. So of course you're going to have groups that are like, oh, they're against the government. They're for the freedom or whatever, what have you. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're for profit. You can see this. You can see this mentality come from people who think. I know. Not us, but there are people out here who think they don't censor conservatives. They're just enforcing their terms of service. Bullshit. No, they're
wrong. They absolutely censor
it's a
people.
product of culture. When you have any industry that is centralized in a certain region, the culture will influence how they do business. Silicon Valley is no different. To think otherwise is incredibly naive. So he had a good point, which. He says, yeah, they're both kind of right in certain ways. No, wrong. They're both kind of dumb in the same kind of ways.
No, but they're right in the same ways, right? They're both right. They're like the extremes of both sides of things. Like one is, like algorithms don't pay taxes, right? And like, for instance, like YouTube don't pay any taxes because it's incorporated in Delaware. So it's like, it's fucking ducking and skirting taxes. Apple, stands here and shields itself by using international tax law. Like these are problems with, the fucking Silicon Valley individuals who are not paying what they should be paying. And then with the right wing standing here saying that like, it's, a massive job destroyer. It is. Automation is going to destroy massive amounts of jobs. Like whether or not, fucking it's good or bad is not, fucking the debate. The debate is whether or not it's right. And it is.
Oh, see, that's my point. The center left is championing Silicon Valley for one reason, which is completely misplaced because guess what? They're not your friends. They're a for-profit business at the end of the day, and they're going to act as such. And once they get large enough, they get powerful enough, their reach spreads far enough, they're not going to care about your fucking activism. All you have to do is say the wrong thing, and guess what? You're in the fucking target list too. So there you go. There goes your champion of arbiter of truth fucking nonsense. And then on the other end, automation's going to kill jobs. The reason the right is so afraid of Silicon Valley, well, guess what? The assembly line did that for a lot of people too. So like artisans are so fucking highly paid in our current day and age, current year, as they say. So again, the left and the right are both stupid. They both have, in this instance, they both have good points. But the fact of the matter is, these are things that are going to happen regardless. It's just the way a regulated free market economy at least works. The problem with Silicon Valley is they're not regulated in the way they should be because they're smart. They masquerade as something that they're not. And that's the only reason they're allowed to get away with this type of stuff. Do you think New York Post can get away as trying to pretend it's a platform and not a publisher? Sure as shit they won't. Do you think Bell Electric or AT&T would get away with that type of crap? Like me and Pino would fucking call each other on the cell phone and start talking about Hunter Biden's emails and they'll cut our fucking phone lines off. You think that's got to stand in front of Congress?
No,
Silicon Valley was
I
fucking smart.
actually have a huge problem with the argument between being a platform and a publisher.
Go watch
You're right.
go watch my last couple videos, Floyd. Like legit, this has been discussed in mass. Like real shit, dude. Like I've been over this like fucking 80 times. Like, dude, like legit. Like there's solutions, but like nobody wants to enact them. It is what it is. You know, I mean, the publisher,
Well, that's
platform,
the thing.
whatever. You know
I don't
what
want to jump. I don't want to jump down the. I don't want to jump down that particular rabbit hole. I'm just using it as a case.
It's not even a rabbit hole.
It is.
Okay.
It is. Yo, legit. We had a 3-hour discussion on it. We had a 3-hour discussion
YouTube,
on it. Believe me.
Facebook, Twitter, they are platforms. They are not publishers. They are not responsible for anything that anyone says on their platform. Now, if you're a publisher,
they are publishers.
They're not.
They are.
This is the rabbit hole.
Yeah, this is why I don't want to discuss this.
Yeah, they act as a publisher, but legally they get treated as a platform, and that's the core component of the issue. But that's a rabbit hole. Let's not jump down that one. Now you mentioned China.
Yeah.
So I think I have a good idea of where this guy's standing would be.
China fucked.
When you start operating on a global economic market, this goes back to the mid to late 1800s, but it didn't really kick into full gear until post World War II. Guess what? And again, back to my previous point of the center left and the center right are both fucking stupid. Money is going to move in a way where things are going to be the most profitable. And if you think that is not going to happen, if you think infringements or things that aren't fair, guess what? Business doesn't care about your fucking feelings. It doesn't care if it's fair.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Trade right now, all right, and has been since 1946 with the Atlantic Charter and the motherfucking Bretton Woods Agreement. Trade has been enforced and propped up by the United States fucking military, and our tax dollars are paying for all these individuals' trade security. While they get to fucking use all of it. And here's the thing, it was a bribe to fight the USSR. That's what it was. All right. It had nothing to do with us actually having real free trade. Like legit free trade's not a real thing. It's fucking dumb. Like we need to stop thinking in these fucking terms. The free trade we're thinking of was a bribe that we didn't use. We don't use the international market at all. Like, yo,
that's the thing. The primary thing that the United States Navy does isn't projecting power or making sure that one country doesn't invade another. No, we make sure that trade routes are secure. Why? Because that's what's been making us money this entire fucking time.
No, it's not. No, it's what's losing us money.
Oh, wrong.
Well, I'm not saying making us money in the literal sense. I'm saying like that's what perhaps I used the wrong choice of terms. I'll be a little more precise. That's what's been giving us a reason to continue to operate our Navy and our military in the way that we've been doing since post World War II, because everybody thinks post World War II, we'll just, if times get tough, we'll just lean on the United States. They'll pay NATO. They'll have the military there. If somebody gets uppity.
No. It was there because, we did not want to fight the Soviet Union head to head in a military battle because we thought we would lose, and because Europe would end up being decimated again. So we stood here and
who put that idea in our heads?
And we had just finished fighting World War II. And to fight another war, it would have been too much.
Yes.
I was going to say, who put that idea in our heads?
What idea?
We got out of World War II. We went straight into Korea. That never resolved. We went straight into Vietnam. That never resolved. We went into fucking the Middle East.
The 1980s, where we were over here fighting a proxy war in Afghanistan against the Russians. Anyway, look.
We've always been fighting Russia.
Yes, all right, but here's the thing: that open free trade thing is really simple. We said, look, we will let you fucking have free access to all of our open markets and secure all of your trade, so that you can bring home fucking whatever material you need to have manufactured finished goods and sell them into our market. Right? All you have to do is stand in front of us and help us motherfucking defeat the Russians. It's that simple. That's what free trade was really about.
And again, who proposed that idea, or who put that idea in the heads of the United States?
The United States did it.
We
No,
did.
It was the ally. No, it was the idea of the allies at the time. Because
No,
the
it
next
was
biggest
not.
enemy.
No, it was
It
not.
was us.
Yo, we did it at the Bretton Woods Conference. It's fucking the Atlantic Charter. That was us.
Again,
It had
why?
nothing to do. Why? Why did we do this? Well, number one, because like, we wanted to be able to have trade security for not only them but ourselves, and we've had that problem in our heads since France and Great Britain kind of denied us access into the fucking Atlantic during the 1790s and 1810s. And no, it's
In
like
1996, Bill Clinton pushed us into NAFTA.
Stop it. That's not what we're talking about. All right. This is far before that. All right. Like legit, we were having problems securing our fucking trade and open water fucking shit. And we said, look, after World War II, we're going to be the fucking big dog on the block. And all the rest of you can sit here and use our open market to be able to fucking sell your goods and trade yourselves back into affluence. But you just have to help us fight the Soviet Union. It's that simple. And then when the Soviet Union fell, we never adjusted our policy.
Yeah, and see, Pinoy, this is why I'm bringing this point up. We're talking about what the cause of something is versus what the reaction to something was. It wasn't the cause; it was the reaction that that made us react the way that we did. Originally, that was not the purpose. That was not the intention. And honestly, if the USSR wasn't acting in the way that it did post World War II, that wouldn't have been a concern. The fact that it was, and the fact that Europe battered down the way that it did, is what led to that type of situation. It's what led to our idea of interventionism on a global scale. And it all goes back to securing trade routes and maintaining a good relationship with allies, which is what kept the economy going.
No, that's not what kept the economy going. What kept the fucking economy going was us fucking.
I'm not talking about ours. I'm not talking about our economy.
Like their
I'm talking about everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm talking about everybody else.
We propped up the rest of the world so that they would help us fight the Russians. That's what this shit was about. It was a fucking literal trade for fucking security. All right. It was.
That's my point. It was not.
You realize. You do realize that America is directly responsible for ISIS.
Yeah. We
know
all this stuff.
That's a different.
That's a whole different
slightly
conversation.
different. That's a different wormhole. But
that was us fighting the Russians.
No, that's not. That was Al Qaeda. But that's the Taliban. No. That's the Taliban you're thinking of. But anyway, right. Yeah. Look, the deal is this. All right. So like, it's really simple. The United States is done with this fucking trade order. They're done with it. It's over with. And it's been going over with for a long time. Like we have less people deployed right now than we did in 1920.
Well, there's a reason I'm against the World Trade Organization, the World Bank, and NATO, and the UN.
NATO's
you should also be hating the WHO right now too, as well.
Who cares about that garbage?
I could, but I'm just going to focus purely on the economic aspect of this one. The Cold War is dead. The USSR have broken up. The European nations don't need us anymore. Maybe there's a reason for us to be in the South China Sea, but the thing is, we could easily stabilize that just by giving more money, or more not money, but assistance to South Korea and Japan, and only intervene if absolutely necessary.
Don't forget India. Don't forget India.
Oh yeah, and India and Pakistan. That's again another interesting geopolitical, and Taiwan. But those two instances are more pointed geopolitical issues. At the end of the day, the United States does not need to be acting in the same way that it has been, but yet we've been acting in the same way since post World War II, and we simply don't need to.
Yeah, I know.
That's the point I'm trying to really get at.
Again, that's what the beginning of this entire fucking live stream was for about 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Call me whatever you want, but I think that
at least I was here.
The U.S. should get out of everybody else's shit. You know what? Y'all want to fight? Fight. Have fun.
Well,
whatever.
That's what we're doing right now. That's legitimately what we're doing. There's a reason why like Turkey went and fucking invaded Iraq and fucking Syria, and legit we didn't say shit. We don't care. Like, we don't have any fucking dog in that fight, and that's what most of this fucking thing's about. So,
We don't give a
Doku,
fuck about Iraq or Iran or Syria or any of those fucking countries. Why do we care?
See, I was just gonna
Yeah,
say
fuck
real quick,
them.
I wasn't here until the very end, and I've
Yeah.
still come to the same conclusions. So
Yeah.
I have a good idea of where this is going.
yeah, legit, like fucking, like, I don't know. Go back and watch the beginning. This is a great video. Actually, the link is in the description if you want to go watch the original video. If you want some of his books, like legit, like like they're on Audible. They're fucking great to get, and something I think you should legitimately fucking read. All three of them are fucking amazing. But yeah, it's like, yo, look, it is 3 a.m. in the morning, and I've been doing this since 12:15. So it is time. It's time for me to end.
It's time.
It is time. I want to
It's
thank
greater
Gaming,
time.
Takeaway.
Gaming and Yelling.
Oh,
Y'all need to go check out Gaming and Yelling's channel. Like, legit. He has great content, and you know what I'm saying? Like, for real,
The
the best
great donut
donut-related content.
I
on
tried
fucking
looking at
YouTube.
his Discord, but it looks like you can't do anything in it.
You gotta wait a little bit. Just gotta wait a little bit.
you gotta wait a bit, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to give you the permission.
Yeah,
You
gaming's
blue balls.
super anal about fucking things in a lot of ways, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there was that one time when my show got, not my show, the Discord got attacked by trolls.
Yeah.
So
he's-
I keep a
Oh.
very tight, I have a tight grip on my Discord.
yeah, you know what I mean? Make
It-
sure.
it's so tight that I'm not even allowed in. I'm an infidel, so
Well, I mean, you deserve being an infidel, and be lucky that I at least let you stay in there.
Make sure if you're not already, you're fucking
I
sub to
still love
Adonis
you,
Paul
bro.
and all of Adonis Paul's channels. You know what I'm saying? And all the stuff he's doing. He does great work over there. Trying to think here. Go check out fucking Aircraft Sparky and Mad Dodge Productions, where Doku be at on a regular basis. You know what I mean? I'd say go check out MC, but legit,
You know, Mad
MC
Dodge
be
was-
having a bunch of motherfuckers on, and real shit does not motherfucking ever invite P's to come hang out. Fucking annoying. And what about Mad
By the
Dodge?
way, you know your boy Madaj was over there at Addy's stream.
Oh, word.
Mm-hmm.
Was like in the chat?
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, who gives a shit?
Actually, if you're gonna find me earlier tonight, it's only nerd stuff. We talk comic books, video games, stuff like that. You can find me on Mildred the Monk's channel every Sunday. He's taking a hiatus because he's gonna be traveling. And then also Exiled Opinions on Friday, and also Jesse Miller at the Crow's Nest stream. And he does those pretty much every fucking day.
Yeah, and once in a blue moon when you actually stop by my channel too, not the Gaming and Yelling show. I mean,
All right,
Hey, you
Doki,
know-
send me a I don't know,
Fuck
link or
Doki.
something. I'll check it out.
yeah, same.
Okay, I'll drop him. I'll drop him in
Anyway.
channels that need love.
Okay, so now that the musical hogwash is over, I'm going to fuck the bed. I'm going to go crawl up against my naked bitch. I'm going to fucking get me some sleep. Thank you everybody for coming out. Thank you everybody for watching. It's appreciated. And we'll do this shit again. You know what I'm saying? Here real soon. You know the deal. It's Tom Pease with Pinoy News. Like,